The story kicks off right in the middle of a fiery battlefield reeking of gunpowder and death. Tens of thousands of human soldiers are screaming at the top of their lungs, demanding Rhode get torn to absolute shreds. Curses fly endlessly from every direction, labeling him a demonic monstrosity just because he dared unleash forbidden dark magic, far beyond human comprehension. Yet right through all that blinding chaos, our main character makes an entrance with unreal, unmatched swagger, casually riding atop the back of a massive, shadowy black dragon, flexing full main character energy high up in the cloudy skies. He smirks with a grin, calmly declaring that, yeah, he is that exact legendary monster they whisper about and fear every day. Gliding down smoothly right in front of the enemy vanguard's drawn blades, he quietly figures people call him a monster for one very simple reason. In this entire world, he stands as the one and only necromancer. A world-shaking showdown between an immortal undead legion and the human alliance erupts in an instant across the battlefield. Skeleton battalions charge like a storm, overwhelming the field, while on the other side, human forces are seeing red, roaring to drag Rhode straight down into the 18 layers of hell. The human side's high archmages chant forbidden fire spells in unison, shouting that this realm has zero room for such vile, filthy, dark magic. A storm of flaming meteors comes crashing straight down right onto Rhode's head. Facing that terrifying blow of pure destruction, our boy does not even flinch, without a single trace of fear on his face. He triggers a mysterious forbidden incantation to settle the entire blood debt with everyone at once. Then boom, our protagonist snaps awake in a completely unfamiliar room, hearing an urgent voice calling out for young Master Rhode over and over. His head still rings with zero clue what happened, until his eyes catch the maid Leah staring at him, so worried she looks ready to burst into tears. Leah quickly lets him know that it is already time for the family breakfast. Rhode reaches out to touch the mirror in front of him, freezing on the spot over a shocking discovery. He has regressed back in time by exactly 20 years, recalling his previous life where at age 32, he got transmigrated into another realm, slowly grinding his way straight to the absolute peak of power, becoming the world's sole supreme necromancer, with an immortal undead army capable of steamrolling every force in existence. After getting cornered by the Alliance and firing that forbidden spell, he accidentally spun time's wheel back to square one, while Leah watches her young master stand there completely spaced out in deep thought. Anxious, Leah urges him to hurry up, warning that if he stalls, the Lord will definitely dish out a brutal punishment. Rhode offers a gentle smile, apologizing to Leah, while promising he will head to the dining hall right away. The maid freezes for a few stunned seconds, eyes wide with disbelief, wondering if this polite young master offering warm apologies could truly be that same cold, obnoxious, rebellious kid from before. Striding down the familiar hallway, Rhode reflects on who he currently is. He is the youngest son of a ruined, heavily bankrupt noble family, previously labeled by everyone around him as nothing more than a lazy, useless, good-for-nothing deadbeat. Bitter memories hit him of the Morris family collapsing into total ruin back then, with every single loved one dying in tragedy while he stood there back then completely powerless, unable to do a thing. But this life is different. Even though his peak mana vanished during time travel, he still holds on to all his memories, master-level experience, and ultimate necromancy secrets, swearing deep down in his heart to rewrite his family's cruel fate for good. Stepping into the grand dining hall, Rhode spots the entire family already gathered around the table. His father, Baron Shiro Morris, scowls darkly, asking if his youngest son showed up late just to dodge magic class again. Instead, our boy bows obediently, taking full responsibility right on the spot, firmly insisting he had zero intention of skipping, promising to never miss a single lesson from this day forward. A wave of emotion hits him inside, since it has been countless years since he last saw his father's stern, familiar face. Wondering how a noble family with such strict discipline like Morris could ever wind up completely broke, he quietly swears to dig to the bottom of whatever truth lies buried behind the scenes. His oldest brother Leo speaks up, lecturing that anyone hoping to carry the house cannot just go through life without a care in the world. His sister Sif steps in to defend him, telling Leo to go easy since he is the eldest, while warmly serving food onto Rhode's plate. Looking at his gentle sister, Rhode feels a deep warmth inside. Knowing she has always been as incredibly sweet and kind as an angel, he suddenly remembers that in his past life, his poor older sister met a truly horrific end after being forced into a cruel arranged political marriage. Determination burns in Rhode's eyes as he swears that in this second life, he will never let that bloody history repeat itself. Right then, the chamber doors swing open and an imposing noblewoman strides inside, the fierce Lady Della herself. With an icy tone, she demands to know if Rhode is falling back into old habits and showing up late once again. Sif quickly steps in front of her little brother, lying that it was entirely her fault for tutoring Rhode in magic until late last night. But Lady Della snaps instantly, telling Sif to shut up and stop cooking up cheap, pathetic excuses for her useless brother. Della declares her patience has run completely dry and lays down a ruthless ultimatum. Rhode gets exactly 1 week to master basic magic. Fail to do it, and he gets kicked out of the family immediately. Sif sinks into pure despair, crying out that this deadline is completely unfair and impossible because even an extraordinary prodigy like their eldest brother Leo needed a whole month back in the day to pull that off. Della ignores every plea, threatening to strip away the Morris family name from Sif if she dares speak another word for her brother. Faced with that ruthless threat, Sif bows her head in defeat, not daring to utter another syllable. Cutting through the heavy tension, our main character calmly accepts the 1-week trial, leaving Sif terrified at why her brother would take such a suicidal gamble. Cool, steady, and utterly unfazed, Rhode looks his mother dead in the eye, asking what reward he gets if he pulls off this impossible feat. Della scoffs coldly, stating that if the brat actually pulls it off, she will grant any request he wants. Locking down that ironclad promise, the boy makes his demand on the spot permission to enter the hero's tomb once he succeeds. The Baron stands, stunned by his youngest son's bold request, but after considering it for a brief moment, he nods in agreement, promising that if the boy masters magic within 7 days, he will personally unlock the tomb gates for him. Lady Della merely smirks with pure contempt, sneering that lazy trash like him could never deserve the hero's blessings, so he had better start packing his bags right now. The moment they leave the hall, Sif rushes after Rhode in a panic, scolding him for taking such an insane gamble instead of just apologizing to their mother. She reminds him that his long history of slacking off has pushed their mother past her breaking point. Plus, even a prodigy like Big Brother Leo could never command magic in just 1 short week. Tearing up, Sif reveals that she has been secretly stashing away a decent pile of savings over the years, enough for him to live comfortably in some quiet corner of the kingdom if he gets cast out of the manor. She scurries off to fetch the stash, leaving Rhode chuckling wryly to himself that his sweet older sister really has zero faith in his true strength. Still, he admits that without the reincarnated memories and power of a peak necromancer, even he would never dream of surpassing a prodigy like Leo. Staring down the family's dark fate, Rhode knows it is finally time to make his move. His grand plan is to use that tomb expedition to raise an undead commanding general. You see, a legendary ancient entity lies resting deep inside that sacred ground. For now, to shut his harsh mother up, he heads out to hunt a monster lurking in the forbidden woods behind their estate. Before long, our protagonist tracks down the massive skeletal remains of a beast known as the Great Earthstorm Worm. Checking his current physical vessel, Rhode realizes his internal mana reserve is downright pathetic right now. This body spent years being completely lazy with training, in a world where magical power and classes are divided into 8 distinct tiers. Only grandmasters ever made history books. Yet at his past peak, Rhode surpassed every tier to stand as the strongest in existence. With this tiny pool, he can only summon 1 undead minion, but that is plenty to leave Lady Della speechless. Rhode raises his hand, commanding his new servant with absolute authority to awaken from its eternal slumber, forcing it to bow before the dark sovereign as the ground splits wide open, revealing massive bone claws tearing through the dirt. Step by step, the colossal bone titan looms toward Rhode, dropping to its knees in absolute devotion to its new master. Rhode ignites a bright surge of mana in his eyes to appraise the beast. It turns out to be a top-tier undead creation wielding devastating destructive power that blends fire and earth magic. He explains that a necromancer can directly borrow and unleash the skills of his undead minions. This right here is the ultimate key he needs to prove his true magical talent to the entire noble family. Right after, Rhode raises his hand and fires a test mana bullet straight at a nearby ancient tree. With a deafening boom, a massive hole is blasted clean through the middle of the massive trunk. The skeletal monster showers his master with non-stop praise for that destructive power, while Rhode merely nods in response, thinking this kind of firepower is barely decent enough to pass. With a casual wave, he sends the beast back into the shadows. He realizes that with his tiny mana pool, keeping a single summon active like this drained almost every drop of his energy. Still, this kind of raw firepower is more than enough to crush all doubts from his strict mother. Rhode then recalls that the hero tomb is actually an ancient sanctuary holding the lingering power of countless legendary figures. Inside that sacred ground, great heroic spirits choose gifted youths to bestow magical blessings upon, making a journey into the tomb the ultimate lifelong dream for every single young noble. Rhode remembers his older brother Leo once earned a rare blessing back then, turning him into a celebrated war hero. That only made Mother Dela look down on Rhode even more with pure contempt. But Rhode never cared about those ordinary blessings anyway. Here is what he really wants, awakening and taming the legendary entity sleeping deep inside the forbidden grounds. The moment he arrives at the Royal Noble Academy, a sharp voice suddenly screams out Rhode's name from afar. His older sister Sif rushes over fuming with rage, nagging him about disappearing instead of waiting for her like she told him to. She desperately urges her younger brother to stay calm, stop angering their mother, and promises she will find a way to plead for him. But Rhode just chuckles, telling his sister not to overthink things and stress herself out, swearing he will never get kicked out of the family or abandon his beloved older sister no matter what happens. Even seeing her brother so confident, Sif is still worried sick. Right then, the maid Leah appears, announcing that the young master's magic class is about to begin. Rhode tells Leah to lead the way to the lecture hall. Sif watches him leave with heavy worry, thinking pure confidence cannot fix anything when even a true genius like Leo struggled so hard. She decides that tonight, she must go beg their mother one more time. Stepping inside the classroom, Rhode finds himself surrounded by elite young nobles from prominent families. The youngest son of Baron Ant immediately starts throwing loud insults in front of everyone, sneering that the lazy trash who always skips class finally decided to drag his useless self to school. The whole class bursts into mocking laughter, thoroughly enjoying the ridicule thrown at Rhode. But the strict instructor instantly cuts off the mockery, announcing the official start of class and ordering Rhode to take his seat quickly. Rhode quietly recalls his past life, where he suffered daily humiliation just for failing to control mana, and nothing seems to have changed. He bows respectfully to Instructor Regu with perfect manners, apologizing sincerely for arriving late to class. The instructor is visibly taken aback by Rhode's surprisingly polite demeanor, wondering if this kid really just apologized, since that respectful attitude completely contradicts his usual arrogant and rebellious nature. As Rhode heads to his seat, that annoying brat from earlier clicks his tongue in disgust, scoffing that Rhode is just acting fake. The instructor opens the lesson by explaining that mana is a deeply mysterious energy, and magic is humanity's systematic way to harness and channel that power. He explains in detail that once students learn to control their mana flow, they branch into specialized roles like offensive mages, dedicated healers, or stealthy shadow assassins. Furthermore, everyone starts at the novice apprentice rank and can advance all the way up to legendary archmage status. A curious female student raises her hand, asking the instructor about that mythical tier of magic. The teacher replies that mages at that tier are truly living legends, serving as eternal pillars for an entire nation and the ultimate dream for anyone walking the path of magic. But the instructor sighs with deep regret that nowadays, such figures only exist in old fairy tales, because the kingdom of Tatis has not produced a single legendary mage in over 700 years. He warns the whole class to focus completely on mastering basic mana to secure their status. ideally before turning 13 years old. That arrogant troublemaker immediately points his finger straight across the room, whining in a shrill voice that there seems to be only one person here who still cannot master basic mana. Glaring right at Rhode, he mocks him for dragging his feet at the academy for 3 whole years without learning a thing. Rhode coldly fires back that it is none of his business, casually declaring he will master all of magic in just 1 single week. That guy bursts out laughing hysterically, shouting for the entire class to hear that the useless good-for-nothing just promised to master magic in 7 whole days. The crowd of students behind him immediately chimes in with mocking snickers. Even Instructor Regu looks deeply disappointed, assuming this kid is still just an arrogant, dishonest brat with zero intention of changing his ways. Rhode thinks to himself that showing off his real power right now would be effortless, but he chooses to hold back until the weekend to avoid causing absolute mass panic among these people. As night falls, Sif sneaks into her mother's quarters to talk reason. Sitting there, sipping fine luxury tea, Dela coldly asks her daughter what brings her sneaking in so late at night. Sif drops to her knees, bowing low, begging her mother with all her heart not to exile her youngest brother from the family no matter what. Dela's expression turns sour immediately, snapping about why her daughter keeps defending such a hopelessly lazy boy. Dela firmly insists that even if the Morris family stands on the brink of ruin, they must still uphold their aristocratic pride. She reminds Sif that every other sibling mastered magic at a very young age, whereas Rhode is already 12 years old and still a complete deadbeat who amounts to nothing. She lays down the law with cold finality, stating that the matter is settled and no longer open for debate. Sif can only bite her lip, hanging her head, completely powerless to rescue her little brother from the looming sentence of exile. And finally, that fateful 7th day arrives. All the academy students gather out in the main courtyard as the instructor officially kicks off the assessment exam to test their magical progress. The teacher points up toward the high castle windows, reminding the students that their noble families are watching their every single move from above. Sure enough, Sif and Dela are watching closely from their window. The mother gives a nasty sneer, declaring that Rhode will only bring pure disgrace and drag the family name through the dirt once again today. Sif gazes down at the courtyard with a heavy, anxious heart, quietly praying her brother can pull off a miracle. Rhode's sworn classroom rival is practically glowing with open malice, declaring that he has counted every single hour just to witness Rhode fail miserably with his own eyes. He struts forward with a triumphant smirk, bragging that today he is going to show this lazy bum what real magic actually looks like. The young noble gathers his mana, announcing his elemental mage specialty before instantly unleashing a violent surge of roaring flames. The fireball screams through the air, rocketing straight toward the stone target sitting in the courtyard center. A direct impact explodes violently on contact, engulfing the heavy target in dense black smoke and crackling sparks. The noble turns around with a mocking tone, saying Rhode could never dream of reaching his level and daring him to show his results. Completely unfazed by these cheap provocations, our main guy casually walks onto the testing ground with an eerie, bone-chilling calm. A dark and ominous aura suddenly begins rolling off his body with pure, overwhelming pressure. Rhode raises his arm straight toward the stone target to condense his spell, while his rival just stands there laughing mockingly. He boasts that he can already picture Rhode bawling his eyes out from utter, pathetic humiliation. A noble lady standing by the window curiously asks Dela if she truly intends to kick her son out if he fails the test today. Dela coldly replies that a lazy child only brings shame, so it is best if he disappears for good to settle the debt. Down on the courtyard floor, Rhode quietly mutters his skeletal minion's name to borrow its flame ability. A terrifying burst of mystical blue fire and massive skeletal shadows immediately condenses right in the center of the courtyard under Rhode's absolute command. He decides to focus all his energy into releasing a maximum power strike to deliver an absolute shock to everyone watching. The young noble from House Ant freezes solid, pupils shrinking in pure terror before the massive surge of raw magic roiling right before him. A roaring tempest of blue flames surges forward like a raging waterfall, slamming straight into the stone target. The destructive force is so insane that the massive test boulder turns to fine dust in an instant, leaving zero debris behind. Up by the window, His sister Sif's eyes go wide, jumping for joy and cheering because her little brother actually pulled off a miracle. Every student across the courtyard is struck dead, silent in pure shock before erupting into frantic whispers, totally unable to believe that a supposedly lazy bum could pull off a move this mind-blowing. Veteran instructor Regu just stands there, jaw dropped, thinking to himself that no beginner apprentice could ever discharge such an unfathomable ocean of magic. Meanwhile, the young noble from House Ant glares fiercely at Rhode, trembling from head to toe in pure, bitter fury, completely unable to accept that the useless trash he always looked down on possesses power 10,000 times beyond his own. The noble lady standing beside Della smirks with subtle irony, remarking that this lazy boy might not be so lazy after all. Sif excitedly points out the window, urging her mother to see that Rhode truly passed the trial in spectacular fashion. Down on the training field, our main character lets out a soft sigh of relief and casually disperses the eerie blue flame. From the balcony above, Sif happily waves down at her younger brother. Meanwhile, Della stands frozen, watching everything unfold in cold, calculating silence. But out of nowhere, the class bully Charles Ant roars in pure fury, demanding to know how on earth a lazy deadbeat could cast such advanced high-tier flame magic. Pointing right at Rhode, he screams that he cheated, since everybody knows this slacker skips class constantly and knows nothing. The surrounding students immediately start whispering among themselves, finding it unbelievable that Rhode pulled off such raw power on his own. Charles quickly claims Rhode stole a secret magic artifact from his family vault just to dodge expulsion. Rhode slowly turns around, asking in an icy tone what young master Charles Ant is actually implying. Charles sneers smugly, arguing that magic tools burn huge amounts of mana, and dares Rhode to cast that exact same flame spell again if he really has the guts. Completely ignoring him, Rhode turns his gaze straight toward Instructor Regu, asking for a fair, unbiased ruling. Instructor Regu sighs, reluctantly admitting to the entire class that Charles has a pretty valid point given the circumstances. The gossip flares up again, with students suspecting Rhode actually used a stolen talisman to pass. Watching from the window, Sif panics, terrified her brother got desperate to avoid expulsion and recklessly stole a family treasure. Tears well in her eyes, knowing their parents will be even more disappointed if this rumor is true. Desperate to shield her brother from the vicious accusation, Sif rushes down to the courtyard at full speed. She tearfully begs Instructor Regu not to put all the blame on Rhode, even preparing to lie and say she was the one who secretly handed him the magic tool. But before she finishes, Rhode catches her arm firmly, gently telling Sif to step back and let him handle this mess himself. Rhode turns and asks the instructor if unleashing that exact high-tier spell one more time would serve as solid proof of his innocence. The instructor nods, confirming that if he can manage to fire that massive magical flame twice in a row, his innocence will be undeniable. Now watch this. Our main character gives a calm smile, then unleashes his mana in an even more savage, overwhelming blast. Cold sweat drips down the students' faces, feeling a terrifying wave of magical pressure way beyond what any rookie should possess. With just a snap of his fingers, Rhode unleashes a second devastating shockwave, obliterating the leftover rubble. Charles stumbles back in absolute terror, realizing this lazy deadbeat is genuinely fighting using nothing but his own raw strength. Not stopping there, Rhode gathers even more monstrous power in his right hand to show everyone who is truly in charge. He locks a bone-chilling stare onto his arrogant rival, freezing the guy completely in place with fear. The remaining stone fragments completely vaporize under the brutal weight of the young boy's mana. Unable to take the suffocating pressure, the bully drops flat on his backside, pale as a ghost. A trembling student asks if the invincible, commanding figure standing right before their eyes is really the same useless trash they have been mocking this whole time. Sif turns to her mother, asking if she will finally drop the idea of kicking Rhode out for good. Della looks away, coldly stating she will tolerate his presence for the time being, but warns there will be no second chances if he goes back to slacking off. Instructor Regu raises his voice across the courtyard, officially declaring that Rhode is completely innocent and used 0 cheating devices. As the exam wraps up, A brilliant golden sunset settles over the Morris family estate. That evening at the manor, Sif and eldest brother Leo gather around the dining table to celebrate the youngest brother's huge win. Rhode shares his gratitude, while Leo chuckles, teasing that Sif has not stopped blabbering about Rhode's test for a single second since afternoon. The family settles together around the large dining table to enjoy a warm dinner. Baron Ciro showers Rhode with praise, mentioning the instructor explained everything and Rhode truly brought honor to the Morris name. Thanking his father, Rhode respectfully asks if the earlier promise granting him entry into the hero's tomb still stands. The Baron nods in confirmation, explaining the tomb opens in exactly 1 month and promising to secure a slot for his son. Della quickly warns that securing an entry pass into the tomb comes with a massive financial cost, demanding Rhode bring back a powerful blessing to make the family's investment worthwhile. His father adds that from now on, Rhode will receive the same treatment and resources as his siblings, urging him to train diligently. Rhode bows, accepting his father's official recognition. But once he is left alone in the room, he scoffs to him. Those hero blessings are nothing more than worthless trash. His real motive is to use this trip to cast necromancy and start building his very own undead empire from the shadows. He remembers an unmarked grave of a legendary warrior from the primordial age, planning to turn that ultimate powerhouse into his next loyal subordinate. Still, he knows the lingering soul of that ancient general is fading away with each passing day, and his current mana pool is just too fragile to perform the summoning ritual right now. He smirks with total confidence. That mountain of resources from his father gives him the perfect shot to grind levels and expand his magic. After a month of relentless grinding, the maid Leah knocks on his door, announcing the Lord demands his presence immediately. Rhode rises with quiet composure. Having successfully broken through to intermediate apprentice mage over this past month, he now feels strong enough to bind that ancient soul. Meanwhile, their father tasks Leo with escorting Rhode to the tomb and teaching him the vital rules of survival inside. Leo readily accepts the order, giving his solemn promise to carry out the mission without fail. Soon enough, their carriage rolls down the trail through the dense forest, heading straight for the sacred grounds. Inside the carriage, Leo asks Rhode if he fully understands the hierarchy of heroic blessings waiting in the tomb. Our boy plays along with fake excitement, saying he is all ears for whatever advice his brother gives. Leo explains that blessings come in 5 distinct tiers, ranging from common white all the way up to legendary red, that grants earth-shattering power. Rhode curiously asks what tier his brother managed to claim back then, and Leo humbly replies he was merely lucky enough to secure purple. Rhode is genuinely surprised, knowing full well just how insanely rare purple tier blessings actually are. That explains how Leo rose so fast to become a celebrated hero of the royal army. Sif heaps praise on her eldest brother, saying snagging any blessing is brutally hard, let alone a purple one. Anxious, Sif turns to Rhode and tells him to try his absolute best to bring home at least a basic white blessing, while Rhode chuckles and tells her not to stress him out. Little does she know, if his sister discovered he couldn't care less about those garbage blessings, she would probably pass out cold right there. At last, the carriage pulls up before the grand gates of the heroic tomb, guarded by towering stone warrior statues. A chilling, eerie mist blankets the entire graveyard, where countless ancient gravestones of long-dead champions sit scattered across the dark grounds. Leo explains that Rhode has exactly 3 hours inside to prove his worth, while he and Sif wait out by the perimeter. As Rhode ventures alone into the pitch-black catacombs, Sif clutches the pendant on her chest, her eyes filled with deep affection and worry for her little brother's safety, silently praying he can secure at least a basic white blessing. Striding alone through the thick mist, Rhode flashes a smirk. Now watch. The first phase of his master plan has officially kicked off. He recalls his brother's advice to seek out the lavish, magnificent tombs where the most powerful grand mages rest. Yet our boy walks right past those grand mausoleums without bothering to spare them a single glance. He admits that brotherly advice makes sense for ordinary folks, but he knows the true Apex legend lies buried under an unremarkable, nameless stone slab. Stopping before a weathered old stone, Rhode gives a slight bow, apologizing to the resting spirit for disturbing its thousand-year slumber. Closing his eyes, he begins channeling forbidden supreme necromancy to link with the warrior's remnant soul, brilliant blue flames blazing in his gaze. With commanding authority, Rhode orders the ancient hero to wake immediately and fall to his knees in total submission. The soul energy thrashes back violently, making our main lead slightly annoyed at how stubborn this ancient remnant is acting. Instantly, he unleashes the supreme aura of an emperor reigning over death itself, declaring that every spirit in this realm belongs under his rule. A colossal figure shrouded in spectral blue flames slowly materializes in midair. Revealing the form of an unmatched ancient magic swordsman, Rhode glares at the giant phantom with razor-sharp eyes, his voice ringing like iron as he commands the legendary entity to kneel. The mythic warrior lowers his blade of pure energy, dropping respectfully onto one knee, swearing absolute loyalty, and bowing his head to his new supreme master. Stepping closer to inspect him, Rhode asks if this remnant spirit still remembers his true name. The warrior admits his name vanished centuries ago, begging his master to bestow a brand new title upon him. Rhode smirks in satisfaction at such absolute fealty, declaring that from this moment onward, this mighty spirit swordsman shall be known as Bone Crown. Right at that moment, hurried footsteps echo across the stone corridors of the mausoleum. A small group, an old man in glasses, an elegant blue-haired lady, and a heavily armored knight strides right through the graveyard. The old man speaks up, reminding Elolana that as the proud heir of their prestigious sword clan, she will surely secure at least a purple-tier blessing. Her guardian knight adds she should only target the grand tombs for ultimate power. The young girl simply nods and steps forward. Elolana stops before a massive tomb flanked by angel statues, recognizing it as the resting place of Hero Illis, a powerhouse who nearly reached the saint realm. Fully determined to claim this great hero's blessing, she eagerly rushes straight toward the monument. But then she halts cold, feeling a monstrous blue mana shockwave radiating violently nearby. The knight instantly draws his blade, shielding his young lady, shouting out that a terrifyingly sinister undead presence is rising. A vivid cyan mist blankets the area, bringing a bone-chilling cold. Looking ahead, Elolana is totally stunned to see just a young boy around her age standing all alone in the cemetery. The knight raises his sword, barking fiercely to ask if this wicked aura is coming from the kid. Taking in Rhode's sword stance, the guard realizes this kid is no ordinary child. He warns his lady to stay alert, since a tomb's evil spirit might have possessed him. Channeling crackling lightning across his blade, the guard braces for a lethal clash, locking his eyes onto Rhode. Standing beside his new summon, Rhode just smirks, amused they mistook him for a demonic threat. He picks up a dry branch from the ground, tests its balance, and casually commands his minion to handle the fight. The knight charges at wind-tearing speed, unleashing a thunderous slash aimed straight for Rhode. Under Rhode's direct command, the spirit swordsman uses just a dry twig to effortlessly parry the heavy strike. With one lightning-fast counter, Rhode slips past the guard and knocks the weapon clean out of his hands in a blink. The knight freezes on the spot in pure disbelief, completely overwhelmed by this absurd speed. Rhode gazes down from above, his cold eyes hidden beneath a hood that radiates total dominance. Elolana watches the whole thing with her jaw on the floor, unable to fathom how a battle-tested knight got trashed by a kid wielding a dry branch. Looking at Rhode, she realizes he is about her age, wondering how on earth he pulled this off. Both furious and rattled, Elolana points at Rhode, demanding his identity while throwing around her noble clan's grand name to intimidate him. But her grandfather immediately steps up and scolds her harshly, ordering her to watch her mouth before this young man. The young lady is left stunned by her grandfather's unusually tense and deadly serious tone. Rhode remains silent, his face shadowed under his hood as he quietly reads the noble family's moves. Staring at Rhode, the old man realizes even he could not disarm the guard so effortlessly, wondering if this kid got lucky or is a reincarnated monster. The defeated knight drops to his knees, begging his master for another chance to fight the boy. But the old man flies into a rage, slamming an open palm strike that sends his insolent guard flying yards away. After punishing his man for offending Rhode, the patriarch pulls back his mana, while the old patriarch growls at his knight that another offense against this youth means getting buried alive right here. He is completely blown away, realizing Rhode did not use a single drop of mana, winning purely on godly swordsmanship, a level of mastery only found among legendary grandmasters. While Elolana is still completely bewildered, her grandfather steps forward and bows deeply, offering Rhode a sincere apology for his guard's reckless behavior. Rhode sees right through the old man, knowing full well he stood by earlier just to test his true strength. Next, the patriarch barks at Knight Leon to crawl over and kowtow for forgiveness. Drenched in cold sweat, Leon kneels and begs Rhode for mercy. It hits him that this is the first time in his life he was dismantled purely by basic swordplay. Rhode waves his hand dismissively, saying it is fine since that brief clash did not leave a scratch on him. The old master heaps praise onto Rhode's flawless skill, swearing only a grandmaster swordsman could pull off such mastery. Elolana stares in disbelief, unable to grasp why her respected grandfather is addressing this kid as a senior. Rhode humbly brushes it off as pure luck, knowing deep down that the Golden Age Bone Crown was an undefeated legend under the heavens. The old man laughs heartily, praising this young lord for staying remarkably humble despite packing such earth-shattering power. He introduces himself as Ignis Asbet, patriarch of the Ash Sword clan, alongside his granddaughter Elena. Elena quickly curtsies and bows her head, apologizing to Rhode for her rude attitude earlier. Ignis probes to see which faction Rhode belongs to, assuming a standout prodigy like him must hail from some supreme ancient bloodline. But Rhode casually replies that he doesn't belong to any clan at all. He recalls that the Ash Sword clan rules the north as a titan his Morris family could never compare to. Ignis is stunned to hear he is a free agent, immediately scheming a way to recruit this genius into his clan. Elena steps closer with a gentle tone, asking if Rhode also came here seeking blessings from the ancient heroic spirits. Her face turns bright red standing so close to Rhode, while he just responds with polite courtesy. Suddenly Lord Ignis clutches his chest, coughing violently as sudden agony grips him, throwing everyone around them into absolute panic. Elena and the knight rush over to support the old man in critical condition. Spotting dark miasma swirling around the old man's body, Rhode calmly notes that Lord Asbet seems to be eaten alive by a vicious, deeply rooted dark curse. The knight frantically begs for help, revealing they hired countless top-tier healers, yet not a single one could diagnose this strange sickness. Elena breaks down in tears, explaining that demons ambushed her grandfather decades ago, leaving him to suffer agonizing torment all these years without any cure. Rhode instantly deduces this is a demonic soul plague, a specialized forbidden art that almost nobody in this world knows how to undo. Elena wipes away her tears, desperately asking if he knows any way to save her grandfather's life. She swears on her honor that the Ash Sword clan will grant any request if Rhode can save him. Rhode reflects that this veteran deserves respect, and for an experienced necromancer like himself, unraveling a couple of ancient curses is nothing more than child's play. Rhode calmly states that curing the old patriarch is simple as flipping his hand. Elena and Knight Leon nearly weep with joy, asking if he is truly being serious. Rhode confirms it, but explains that purging the curse completely requires him to gather several rare ingredients first. Elena weeps, tears of joy, thrilled that her grandfather's long years of suffering are finally ending. Leon quickly hands Rhode a clan magic communication device. He promises to gather every ingredient requested, swearing to come pick him up in person the moment everything is ready. Rhode takes the device, accepting the deal. Stepping out of the hero's tomb, Rhode feels this trip yielded far beyond expectations, his strength skyrocketing after taming the Bone Crown. Suddenly, his sister Shirley rushes over upon spotting her brother, eagerly asking which heroic spirit blessed him and what grade it is. Our guy starts sweating bullets, realizing he forgot to prepare a fake cover story. After all, he cannot reveal that he just subdued an ancient swordsman's spirit. Just then, Leo walks over with a stern face, stating he cannot sense even a sliver of divine blessing radiating from Rhode. The oldest brother scolds him loudly, reminding him of the steep price the family paid just to buy him this rare chance. Pure, crushing disappointment. Leo sighs, saying he thought his youngest brother had turned his life around. Yet here he is, remaining the same hopeless failure. Rhode just scratches his head and gives an awkward grin, claiming the ancient heroes did not even look his way, even though he knows his undead boss is 10,000 times better than those trashy blessings. Shirley drags her brother back home while Rhode silently prays their strict mother does not blow her top. And right on cue, as night blankets the Morris Manor, a furious roar echoes through the main hall like thunder. Della slams the table hard, yelling out furiously, "Trash will always be trash." Completely useless from start to finish. Facing his mother's rage over wasting family resources, Rhode stays quiet to avoid throwing fuel on the fire. Della scolds his lack of effort, ordering him to pack his bags for the Seven Cities Magic Academy in a few days, so he stops dirtying their family name. She storms off angrily, telling him never to show his face unless necessary, because looking at him ruins her appetite completely. Rhode actually views getting shipped off to the academy as a golden opportunity, since he can freely hunt rare materials there to upgrade his subordinates. Hearing his mother mention a girl named Claire, Rhode suddenly remembers his past life fiancée. Back then, Claire called off their engagement due to his worthless reputation, only to meet a tragic end later on, remaining in his memories as a notoriously obnoxious noble lady. Rhode realizes his mother sent him here just to be Claire's errand boy, all to maintain diplomatic ties between their two families. But Rhode shrugs it off. In his past life, Clee's mother treated him so kindly, so he decides to save the girl from her grim fate. 3 days later, our main character arrives at the Seven Cities Magic Academy, located in the Northern Territories. This elite training ground was established by the Seven Autonomous Cities Alliance, gathering the finest prodigies from prestigious noble houses. Leaving home was definitely the right move, letting him grind levels in peace to reclaim his throne as the undead lord. Right then, a stunning black-haired beauty walks across the courtyard, turning every single head in pure awe. Everyone instantly recognizes her as the young lady of the prestigious Flora family. The male students stare in complete infatuation, marveling at her beauty while sighing because she is already betrothed to another noble clan. Standing in the distance, Rhode takes in the academy atmosphere, waiting for the right moment to make his move. Clay's servant informs her that Rhode was sent by the family to act as her companion. Spotting Rhode from afar, Clay pouts, calling him a hopeless, lazy slacker. The servant reminds her that this arrangement was made directly by both family elders. And even though the Morris family fell into ruin, Rhode's older brother remains highly promising, forcing the young lady to begrudgingly accept reality. Clay decides to keep Rhode around as an errand boy, figuring his presence might at least ward off unwanted suitors around campus. Watching her haughty attitude, Rhode figures she is just as arrogant in this life as she was in the past. In the middle of the crowded courtyard, an excited, familiar voice suddenly calls out young Master Rhode's name. Turns out, it is Elolana. She rushes over, looking utterly shocked and thrilled to see a Grandmaster swordsman like him attending this very academy. She excitedly assumes he must be on some top-secret mission, maybe covertly investigating noble families conspiring with demons. Rhode subtly gestures, telling her not to call him a Grandmaster in front of everyone. Out of habit, the blue-haired girl blurts out the Grandmaster title again, awkwardly asking what she should call him instead. Rhode tells her to simply use his name, casually asking how her grandfather's health is doing. Elolana cheerfully shares that her grandfather is stable, and her clan is finishing gathering the rare materials he requested. From afar, Clay puts her hands on her hips, yelling at Rhode to stop stalling and get over here. Rhode says he is on his way and jogs over, leaving Elolana behind with a giant question mark over her head. Annoyed, the blue-haired girl wonders who that stuck-up woman is to speak so rudely to her revered master. Clay grumbles about Rhode being slow, while surrounding students whisper among themselves, seeing an unfamiliar kid walking alongside Lady Flora. Right on cue, an arrogant young noble named Anderson Runn struts pompously onto the academy grounds. Everyone knows this guy despises any male who dares to step anywhere near Clay. Spotting the beauty, Anderson flashes a smug grin, stepping up with fake charm to ask why she didn't let him pick her up personally. Watching from the side, Rhode recalls how Anderson loved showing off and putting him down in his past life. Clearly, that arrogance hasn't changed. Annoyed by the persistent pest, Clay points straight at Anderson, bluntly telling him to get lost. With an unhealthily obsessed gaze, Anderson whines for her not to be so cold, professing his deep feelings for her. Losing all patience, Kiel snaps right in his face, ordering him to scram immediately. She makes it clear she couldn't care less if he is the Lord's son. Publicly humiliated, Anderson boils with rage, cursing her as an ungrateful brat. Snapping completely, he reaches out to grab Clay's wrist, trying to force his way. But Rhode steps in right on time, smacking Anderson's dirty hand away with one sharp, decisive strike. Rhode casually walks alongside Clell, leaving Anderson clutching his throbbing wrist with eyes burning in murderous hatred. The noble heir roars, demanding to know who this nobody thinks he is, daring to cross him. A minion quickly scurries over and whispers Rhode's identity into Anderson's ear, revealing he is just a useless loser from the ruined Morris house. Furious at being insulted by someone at the bottom of the food chain, Anderson charges forward in a blind rage. He grabs Rhode's shoulder from behind to intimidate him. Rhode slowly turns around, glaring back with a bone-chilling, lethal aura that screams danger. Nearby students start to panic, whispering about Anderson's brutal cruelty and betting that Rhode is totally finished this time. Without a shred of fear, Rhode coldly warns him to remove his filthy hand, reminding him that Clay already told him to get lost. Claire freezes, staring at Rhode and wondering if this useless good-for-nothing is genuinely risking his own neck to protect her. With a subtle shrug of his shoulder, Rhode effortlessly brushes off the troublemaker's hand. Anderson trembles with rage, demanding to know who Rhode thinks he is to ruin his fun. Deep down, though, an unsettling dread starts creeping straight up his spine. Beneath his hood, eerie blue flames flicker in Rhode's eyes, radiating a suffocating aura that pins Anderson to the spot, petrified to move an inch. Seeing things go south, Anderson's goons immediately rush in to pull back their leader. They warn him the courtyard is packed with witnesses, and members of the Flora family are currently watching everything unfold. Forced to swallow his pride, Anderson retreats in pure humiliation, muttering that the kid just got lucky today. He scurries away, cold sweat soaking through his shirt as the lingering terror from that icy gaze continues haunting him. Terrified by that piercing stare, Anderson wastes no time scampering away in complete panic. Sweat drenches his entire back, rattled by the fact that a lowly servant could project such monstrous killing intent. That lingering chill leaves his spine numb. Seeing their humiliated boss retreat, the flustered lackeys quickly clear out of the courtyard under Rhode's calm, deeply judgmental stare. With that annoyance finally gone, Claire immediately puts her hands on her hips, scolding Rhode for being reckless. She grumbles that even her own Flora family shows deference to Lord Rune. Disrespecting the man's son in broad daylight like that is basically asking for total destruction. Rhode raises an eyebrow, asking wasn't getting rid of that stalker exactly what she wanted. Claire huffs back that he should worry about his own fragile life first, having crossed someone as vindictive as Anderson. Right at that moment, a lively blonde girl comes jogging over from the distance, cheerfully calling out Claire's name. The young lady's irritated scowl vanishes in a heartbeat, replaced by a radiant, blooming smile the moment she recognizes her close friend, Anna. Anna blinks with curiosity, glancing at the boy standing beside Claire and asking who he is. Claire coldly introduces him as none other than the youngest son from the fallen Morris family. Anna gasps, realizing this is the legendary useless young master, but Claire quickly puts a finger to her lips, shushing her to keep her voice down. She complains that her mother forced her to look after this kid, calling him a walking magnet for trouble. Anna finds it hilarious, though, giggling that at least Claire now has an extra servant to run errands for free. Standing quietly nearby, Rhode watches Anna's every move and remembers his previous life. This blonde social climber is an opportunist through and through, someone who actively helped drag Claire into a tragic, soul-crushing political marriage. Rhode makes a mental note to keep a close eye on this best friend as they head inside the lecture hall. Rhode thinks to himself, these basic academic theories are nothing more than pointless child's play to a reincarnated grandmaster of his caliber. But then, an important secret hits him. Hidden deep inside the Academy's most secure vault lies a rare relic known as the Tear of the Dead. He resolves to secure that crystal containing the ancient power of lingering remnant souls at any cost. It is the ultimate catalyst needed to upgrade and elevate the power of his bone crown to unprecedented heights. Before long, the elderly instructor wraps up the theory session and dismisses the entire class. Anna stretches happily, hopping with excitement now that class is over, whining that she craves going out somewhere fun to party. She eagerly tries dragging Claire along, but Claire maintains her mature composure and firmly declines, reminding her friend that both of them must focus on their studies to become renowned high-ranking mages. Anna turns on the charm, flattering Claire as a total genius who can easily afford taking a little break to unwind. Just as the two girls are bickering, Anderson cuts right back into the picture, enthusiastically backing Anna's idea. Flashing a smug grin, he loudly invites the whole group to a lavish feast at the Crystal Tavern to celebrate their first day of school. He insists that treating two fine young ladies is the greatest honor of his life. Anna puts on wide eyes, gushing over how crazy expensive the capital's top luxury tavern is. The rich playboy scoffs and waves it off, claiming pocket change like that is nothing to the Rune family. Meanwhile, our main guy just stands in the back with folded arms, watching the whole ridiculous flex unfold. Anna keeps pressing Claire to accept, showering the wealthy heir with compliments for his supreme generosity, while making sure to throw passive-aggressive shade at the useless freeloader, tagging along just wasting good food. Thoroughly worn down by her friend's annoying nagging, Claire lets out a sigh and reluctantly agrees. Anna cheers in delight, dragging her friend toward the school gates while Rhode trails behind in silence, moving like a shadow. Right at that moment, the magic communication device at Rhode's waist begins glowing with a faint blue light. Sir Leon's steady voice comes through, confirming that every last rare ingredient needed to cure the curse on old patriarch Igna has been gathered without missing a single piece. Our main character sends a quiet magic transmission back, instructing the knight to bring the materials straight to their meeting spot at the Crystal Tavern. Dusk settles in, painting the academy courtyard in blood-red light as crowds of students flood out of the gates. Spotting Rhode still casually trailing behind them every step of the way, Anna spins around, chin raised in disgust, asking who gave a useless nobody permission to tag along with their group. Rhode treats her venom like background noise, eyes glued solely to Claire's back as he recalls his past life, where right after tonight's gathering at this very tavern, Claire vanished without a trace for days, returning with her mind completely shattered, a hollow shell of who she used to be. You can see it coming, a real disaster is about to unfold, so he decides to shadow her every move and uncover the dark truth pulling the strings behind the scenes. Anna is absolutely fuming after being treated like thin air. Meanwhile, Claire turns back, telling Rhode class is over, so he does not need to follow her around like an errand boy anymore. Seeing this, Anderson steps forward with a slick smirk, saying it is fine to let the boy tag along if his skin is thick enough to beg for it, while inside, the young noble is quietly cooking up a vicious scheme he plans to use tonight to beat the Morris brat half to death, wiping clean the humiliation of that morning's slap. Anna is completely charmed by Anderson's fake act of generosity, praising him as the ultimate gentleman, while throwing a nasty side-eye at Rhode and wondering if he secretly has a desperate crush on her best friend, clinging to Claire like a shameless leech. The group finally arrives before the lavish Crystal Tavern beneath the crimson night sky. The heavy 1,000-year oak doors swing wide open, letting the young nobles step inside to the loud thump of tavern music. Anderson starts throwing money around like trash, loudly shouting that he will cover the entire tab tonight for every single patron inside the tavern, triggering deafening cheers across the crowd as everyone praises the generous young lord. Meanwhile, Rhode keeps his guard up, carefully scanning every shadow in the bustling banquet hall. His gaze locks onto a crew of rough, muscular bruisers drinking over in the corner, their sharp glares reeking of real danger. Resting right on their wooden table sits a massive greatsword, still stained with crusted patches of dried blood. Rhode realizes immediately that these men belong to a completely different league-hardened, cutthroat mercenaries who live on the edge, killers who flirt with death every single day, right on the razor edge of survival. He knows these scoundrels live for only three things: strong booze, raw violence, and pretty women. And we already know Claire's striking beauty was undoubtedly the exact spark that ignited that horrific tragedy in his past life. Sensing imminent danger, Rhode steps up and grabs Claire's wrist, speaking in a low voice that it is getting late, urging her to go home before her mother worries. But before Claire can even utter a reply, Anna barges right between them, smacking Rhoda's hand away with pure disgust, screaming that she has endured his presence all day long, furiously venting that his stalking is more than enough to drive anyone crazy. Now, with the gathering barely even starting, he dares try dragging Claire away, which is just completely laughable. Claire feels awkward and apologizes softly, explaining that she already promised her best friend, so she cannot just break her word and ditch the party. Anderson glares at Rhode, warning him not to ruin the mood, telling him to get lost on his own and learn how to act like an inferior servant. Naturally, all this loud arguing from the spoiled brats immediately reaches the ears of the hulking mercenaries sitting right nearby. They look over at the sheltered young nobles, their rough faces breaking into savage, mocking grins. A towering brute of a mercenary chuckles gruffly as he stomps over toward them, sneering at the soft nobles, taunting that instead of hiding under mom's blanket drinking milk, they foolishly waltz straight into a tiger's den to fool around. He steps right up to the students, plastering an openly lecherous stare all over Claire, flashing a sleazy grin while praising the young lords for bringing along such a tasty treat, which makes Anderson feel his noble pride getting completely trampled. Infuriated, he immediately calls out the tavern manager, furiously demanding why filthy mercenaries were ever permitted inside to disrupt high-born noble guests. The brute's face instantly twists into a dark scowl, eyes flaring with murderous intent as he growls, demanding to know what garbage this little brat just spewed about his crew, while the tavern manager turns completely pale, rushing over in a panic to beg the young lord from House Rune to postpone the party until tomorrow, when the tavern is cleared out. Anderson's lackeys brush the manager off right away, arguing that backing down now means breaking his promise and totally humiliating himself in front of the pretty girl. Sweating bullets, the manager whispers a frantic warning that these guys are notorious, bloodthirsty thugs, straight from the borderlands. So provoking them is the absolute worst idea. But arrogance runs deep in his veins, so Anderson just sneers in disgust, mocking how a bunch of filthy, low-class mercenaries could ever dare lay a finger on the proud heir of House Run. Hearing that disrespect, one mercenary slams the table hard enough to shatter his tankard, roaring that he doesn't give a damn whose spoiled brat this kid is. Tonight this tavern belongs to them, and he barks at the bratty youngsters to get the hell out right now. Furious over the insult to his master, Anderson's guard draws his steel and charges forward, shouting that nobody in this entire region has the right to defy the authority of House Run. Steel clashes with a deafening crash as total chaos instantly erupts right across the dining hall. Yet within seconds, Anderson's elite guard gets snatched by the throat and ruthlessly stomped into the wooden floorboards like a pathetic bug. Anderson freezes on the spot, wide-eyed in absolute disbelief, as his top bodyguard gets dismantled in the blink of an eye. The mercenary empties a cold mug of ale over the fallen guard's head, mockingly asking if these snotty brats are tired of living. He jeers that out in the wild, soft, noble weaklings like them would have been fed to hyenas a long time ago. Facing the violent mess, Rhode just crosses his arms and watches in complete silence, finding this whole clumsy spectacle rather entertaining as it unfolds. Humiliated and desperate, Anderson has to swallow his massive pride, offering a truce so he can speak reasonably with their leader, warning that these rough mercenaries definitely do not want a noble lord as their mortal enemy. The sellsword roars with laughter like it's a stand-up comedy routine, mocking that a milk-drinking kid has zero business meeting Captain Ken of the Blood Mercenaries. At the sound of Captain Ken's name, all the color instantly drains from Anderson's face. Terror sets in as he recalls this is the region's most ruthless band of killers, cold-blooded monsters who would gladly slaughter high-ranking nobility for the right price. And sitting quietly in the darkest corner of the room is Ken himself, the fearsome boss, sporting a wicked facial scar and a massive greatsword across his back, slowly takes a heavy gulp of ale. Flashing a sadistic grin as he recognizes Lord Run's youngest son, he coldly announces that the arrogant little punk's life isn't worth a single rusty coin to him. Nothing. The wealthy noble boys tagged along lose all strength in their legs, collapsing onto the floor and shaking violently once they realize what monster they just crossed. Anna clings tightly to Clay's shoulders in sheer panic, sobbing hysterically that every single one of them has one foot inside the grave. The surrounding cutthroats erupt into wicked laughter over these pathetic rich kids, while cold sweat drenches Anderson's entire forehead. He knows that losing face here, especially in front of his crush, Clay, will reduce his lifelong reputation to absolute dust. So he forces himself to bite down and swallow the humiliation, bowing low to apologize for the brawl and begging for a peaceful resolution out of respect for House Run. Ken gives a sly smirk, mentioning Lord Run has built quite the name lately, so he doesn't mind showing some respect, making Anderson's friends sigh in massive relief. They instantly shower their young master with praise for supposedly saving everyone from certain disaster. Now look at that, their smiles freeze dead in their tracks the second Ken drops his voice into a sinister growl. He lays out a vile demand that the two lovely noble ladies must dance for entertainment and pour drinks for his entire crew, if they ever want to walk out of this tavern in one piece. On top of that, Ken demands Anderson himself order both girls to do it, turning whatever honor House Run had left into a complete joke. The thugs hoot and holler with wild excitement, slamming tables eagerly, while the disgusted noble girls grip their coats tightly against their chests, sickened to their stomachs by the vile proposition, while Rhode keeps a completely calm expression without the slightest flicker of emotion. Shaking all over, Anderson tries to push back, saying this goes way too far while reminding Ken that Clee is the proud heir of House Flora. A mercenary barks right in Anderson's face to shut his mouth, asking if he really thinks a worthless noble title scares hardened outlaws. Gripped by absolute terror and fearing for their lives, the cowardly boys drop to their knees, begging Clell to dance and save their necks. But she turns and orders Rhode to escort Anna out immediately, proudly declaring that these low-life scumbags would never dare lay a single finger on a lady of House Flora. But Rhode calmly raises a hand to stop her, saying there is no need to make such a scene, leaving her totally bewildered by his chilling composure. And just like that, our boy casually steps forward with absolute, ice-cold confidence. He looks right into Captain Ken's eyes and coldly tells him to shut down this pathetic circus before it gets too late. Ken glares at the kid with total disgust, angrily roaring, "Who do you think you are to dare order me around?" Anna grabs her head, crying out that Rhode has lost his mind. Anderson had everything settled, and now Rhode is getting everyone killed. A massive bald mercenary steps forward, grumbling that he really cannot believe some foolish brat is daring to ruin their entire night of fun. He calls himself Zom, the gang's vice captain, telling his crew to sit back and drink, while he personally crushes this kid's bones before the show starts. Moving with terrifying speed and brute force, the giant charges straight toward Rhode with a crushing fist. Clay screams his name in panic, terrified for her childhood friend's life. Zom is genuinely shocked to see the kid not even flinch or blink, just staring back with a sharp, cold glare flickering with an eerie blue flame. Enraged by the blatant disrespect, the vice captain bellows that the brat is dead, instantly triggering his destructive flaming blade technique. A savage wave of roaring flames surges right toward Rhode's head, leaving Clee sobbing in pure terror. Meanwhile, Anderson panics, yelling that they will all be dragged down if the mercenaries lose it, so just let that fool die alone. Clang! A harsh metallic crash echoes loudly across the tavern the exact second the two strikes collide. The surrounding mercenaries stand completely jaw-dropped in pure disbelief, watching a young kid casually dodge Zom's fierce blazing slash with totally effortless and calm composure. Rhode simply snatches a sword from a mercenary standing nearby, politely asking if he can borrow it for a second. Zom completely loses his mind over being ignored, roaring as he lunges in with another lethal, full-powered slash. Watching the incoming blade, Rhode whispers to the Bone Crown that this time, they finally have a real weapon in hand. The spectral Bone Crown rises tall right behind Rhode, and he channels pure destructive mana through the steel blade, unleashing an earth-shattering counter. A wild blast of eerie blue flames detonates in midair, completely obliterating his opponent's fire. The collision sends a shower of sparks raining across the ceiling. Zom's pupils shrink in sheer horror as he realizes the overwhelming difference in power between them. With a sharp crack, the vice captain's heavy steel broadsword shatters into countless metal fragments under the crushing weight of Rhode's strike. Zom stares dumbfounded at the broken hilt in his hand, unable to comprehend how a kid snapped his blade like a dry twig. Humiliated beyond belief after being made a complete joke in front of his crew and boss, the vice captain roars, charging in barehanded while boasting that mercenaries are the true masters of close combat. He throws a lethal haymaker at Rhode's head, but Rhode smoothly tilts aside to slip it. Rhode thinks to himself that his current body still lacks the raw muscle to trade blows with pure melee fighters. A skeletal silhouette with burning eyes slowly emerges through the thick haze of mana. Zom panics and tries to pull back, but you already know it is too late. A massive skeletal claw reaches out from the void, clamping tightly around his throat. Channeling his signature blue flame magic, Rhode unleashes a blazing fury to completely incinerate his target. A towering pillar of blue flames erupts straight through the floor, blasting the massive vice captain all the way to the ceiling. Zom crashes hard against the wooden floorboards, obliterating tables and chairs before lying completely knocked out, eyes rolled back and foaming at the mouth from the impact. Anderson stands completely frozen in disbelief, watching this supposed nobody solo and demolish a seasoned mercenary vice captain. Sensing a serious threat, Captain Ken slowly rises from the shadows, while the rest of his mercenaries draw their blades with murderous intent. Ken coldly warns that anyone who dares touch his men will be torn to pieces and fed to the wild beasts. The nobles alongside them start crying in sheer panic, whining that Rhode's short victory only provoked a pack of bloodthirsty monsters. Those cowardly aristocrats start whispering to slip away while Rhode draws all the aggro, claiming this whole mess is entirely his fault anyway. Anna frantically drags Clee by the arm, scolding her for wasting tears on a stubborn fool running toward his own grave. Watching Clay get pulled out the door, Rhode actually lets out a quiet sigh of relief. Without her in the way, he can finally go all out. Ken flashes a cruel, twisted smile, sneering that he will not kill Rhode quickly, but torture him all night before extorting a massive ransom from the Morris family. With ice-cold eyes, Rhode silently plans to wipe out the whole room, thinking to himself that Captain Ken actually looks like some pretty decent undead material to add to his ranks. Right as Rhode is weighing Ken's worth, heavy footsteps suddenly echo outside. An uninvited guest's booming voice echoes across the entire tavern. Pissed at having his fun cut short, Ken whips around toward the entrance, furiously barking to see what idiot with a death wish dared step inside. But the moment he catches sight of the man entering, Ken freezes in sheer terror. Standing right there is the famed knight Leon of the Ashblade clan. Ken trembles, stammering out why an esteemed lord like Leon would show up in a dump like this. Completely brushing Ken off, Leon walks straight toward Rhode with total deference, asking with deep concern if these street thugs dared touch a single hair on the young master's head. Chuckling at his own pointless question, Leon adds that these fools could never touch Rhode, especially when he himself could not last one round against the kid. Ken is utterly baffled, unable to fathom why a legendary knight like Leon is bowing low and calling a mere kid a grandmaster. Leon snaps back around, glaring daggers at Ken as he roars out who gave him permission to threaten Rhode, declaring loud and clear that Rhode is the most honored guest of the mighty Ashblade clan. Knowing the Ashblade clan rules the North with an iron fist and could erase his entire squad with a single flick of a hand, Ken realizes he just kicked a massive hornet's nest. Without hesitation, the mercenary captain drops straight to his knees before Rhode, slamming his head onto the floor repeatedly, begging for his life and pleading forgiveness for his foolish blindness. Every single mercenary in the room freezes in disbelief, watching their proud leader grovel on his knees, begging a teenager for mercy. Ken hastily presents the leader token of the blood mercenaries like a tribute, pleading for Grandmaster Rhode to accept his apology. He swears his absolute, undying loyalty starting from this very second, pledging his entire gang to obey Rhode's every command. Rhode figures a live, obedient mercenary crew, is going to be far more useful than a pile of rotting corpses. Taking the token, he chooses to spare their lives this once, partly showing respect for Knight Leon's timely arrival. Still, to leave a warning, Rhode decides to teach the captain an unforgettable lesson. A bone-chilling gust sweeps across the tavern, bringing terrifying dread that tightens straight around Ken's heart. Eerie blue flames flare up around Ken, paralyzing his entire body on the spot. A spectral skeletal phantom emerges from the void, raking razor claws directly into the captain's soul and instantly shattering his stubborn willpower. Ken screams in sheer agony as his life force drains away, collapsing onto the floorboards while desperately whimpering for his life. Rhode signals Leon to leave, ignoring Ken's pathetic cries entirely. One of the underlings quickly rushes over to help Ken up, stammering out that the mysterious boy and the knight are gone, still trembling and gasping for breath. Ken mutters in pure relief that they got lucky not pushing that kid too far. Otherwise, their entire syndicate would have been wiped out today. Leon escorts Rhode into a luxurious carriage, mentioning that Lord Igna Aspris is eagerly waiting for his arrival back at the estate. Before long, the carriage pulls up right before the magnificent manor of the Ashblade clan, perched atop the city's highest hill. Stepping inside the lavish room, Rhode spots Elolana and grandfather Igna ready for the purification ritual. Elolana beams as Rhode walks in, warmly welcoming the Grandmaster who came to their rescue. She presents a silver tray packed with rare magical ingredients, explaining the clan went through serious trouble across the kingdom, just to track down every single one of these scarce items. Rhode nods and says that is plenty, raising his hand as a surge of blue mana envelops the ingredient tray. Sitting in his armchair, old Igna breaks into a cold sweat seeing the eerie blue fire ignite. With intense focus, Rhode orders everyone back so he can begin purging the curse. Suddenly, a grotesque purple phantom skull with bloodshot red eyes screeches as it bursts out from old Igna's chest, exposing the true form of the vicious demon curse. Without hesitation, Rhode lunges forward with hands cloaked in blue flames, cutting off the evil spirit before it flees. Channeling high-tier necromancy, Rhode fires glowing soul chains that bind the demon mid-air, completely locking down its every move. Eyes turning cold and sharp, the young master warns the beast that it has nowhere left to run. The demonic skull wails in agony as Rhode's flawless mana control chokes it out. Elolana shivers in pure horror watching this, realizing this is the evil spirit that tormented her grandfather for 10 long years. Leon breaks into a cold sweat under Rhode's pressure, feeling deeply ashamed remembering he once dared challenge him. Seeing the fiend still squirming, Rhode smirks and asks if it really thought there was any way out of his grasp. Rhode clenches his fist, compressing the energy to the extreme until the demon spirit's structure shatters into pieces. He deftly manipulates the lingering soul fragments, condensing them into a sphere of pure energy before sealing it straight into the blue jade on the silver tray. Rhode smiles with quiet satisfaction after successfully refining a top-grade soul stone in this life. He plans on using that massive energy to empower Bone Crown, while Leon gasps in total shock, realizing the evil spirit tormenting his lord for 10 whole years was effortlessly wiped out by Rhodes. Ilana rushes right over to her grandfather, checking on him with deep concern. Rhodes firmly warns her, Ilana, fall back right now. Right then, old Igna snaps his eyes wide open. He lets out a deafening roar as massive energy, bottled up for years, suddenly erupts and violently courses through his entire body. Ilana stumbles back in terror, panicked, having no clue what is happening to her grandfather. Rhodes calmly explains that the parasite had been draining his life force for years, so now that it is purged, the old man's peak power is rapidly restoring and surging back to the surface. Just as Rhodes said, the Grand Patriarch stands tall. A brilliant golden aura wraps around him, marking the return of an absolute powerhouse. Igna stares down at his own trembling hands in total disbelief. He realizes with pure joy that his power is fully restored, breaking through straight to the peak of intermediate Archmage tier. He laughs heartily, saying he never dared dream he would ever touch high Archmage realm at his advanced age, especially with 1 foot already in the grave. Overwhelmed with emotion, Leon recalls the long years rival factions suppressed the Ashen Sword family over their lord illness, but now their entire fate has completely flipped around. The knight stares at the back of Rhodes with boundless gratitude, knowing every single miracle here is thanks to the incredible aid of Master Rhodes. Alana rushes over and hugs her grandfather tightly, happily asking if he turned this disaster into a blessing. Igna pats his granddaughter's head, confirming Rhodes fully cleansed the dark magic and pushed him leaps forward on the path of magic. With fierce resolve in his eyes, the patriarch declares the Ashen Sword family will take back everything they lost in the past. He bows deeply, showing his profound gratitude to Rhodes. He swears the clan will never forget this life-saving debt, ready to obey any command from the young man. Rhodes calmly replies that there is no need for such formalities since he got what he came for. Even so, he has one crucial question to ask. The patriarch respectfully invites Master Rhodes to speak freely, and Rhodes immediately asks where he originally caught that vicious curse years ago, because tracking down that location means he would never have to worry about his soul stone supply ever again. Igna reveals everything happened 10 years ago in the Valley of Mourning during an imperial military campaign, where he fell into a demon clan trap. The Valley of Mourning crawls with dangerous high-tier monsters. Rhodes decides to put off exploring that place until his own power is strong enough to keep him safe. The scene shifts to an upscale noble carriage rolling smoothly down the road. Sitting inside the carriage, Leon respectfully informs Rhodes that the private residence he requested has already been completely prepared. It sits in a prime location right next to the Seven Cities Magic Academy. Rhodes steps down to check out his new base of operations. Rising before his eyes is a towering, magnificent castle built with grand architecture, looking like a miniature royal palace. Rhodes scratches his head in slight disbelief, thinking he only asked for a decent temporary place. Yet these guys went all out and handed him a whole massive mansion. Back at the main Ashen Sword estate, old Igna hearty laughter keeps echoing through every hallway. Alana smiles, teasing her grandfather that he has been laughing for hours on end without getting tired of it. The patriarch chuckles, noting Rhodes is the most mysterious and formidable figure he has ever met, advising his granddaughter to build a strong bond with him. Alana blushes in embarrassment, giving a soft nod, saying she knows what to do. Igna's expression hardens as he declares it is time to settle scores with the Shadowthorn clan, the very people he suspects orchestrated the curse years ago. Meanwhile, over at the Flora family residence, a quiet night settles in. The moment Claire steps through the door, her mother sternly interrogates her about why she came home so late. Her mother asks point blank if she met the young master of the Morris family and whether the two of them got along. Claire sheepishly avoids her mother's gaze, offering a quiet nod to confirm that they did indeed meet. Her mother tells her not to mistreat Rhodes like everyone else, and Claire promises her she will try to get along with him better from now on. Staring out the window, Claire thinks to herself that Rhodes might not actually be the useless trash the rumors claim. Inside his lavish new quarters near the academy, see how he quietly prepares for the evolution ritual in the dead of night. Gripping the glowing soul stone tightly in his hand, the young necromancer decides the time to evolve his skill is finally ripe. In a commanding tone, Rhodes summons his loyal servant, Bone Crown. The spectral swordsman materializes instantly, dropping to one knee amidst eerie blue flames to greet his master. Rhodes knows the soul core of Bone Crown has degraded over centuries, yet with unmatched sword skill, this minion right here will easily hold his own against anyone below high archmage level. Ross lifts the magic gem high into the air, funneling a massive surge of soul power straight into his summon. He orders his spirit warrior to absorb the offering and trigger the mysterious evolution process. The jade gem shatters midair with force, unleashing a storm of pure spiritual particles that sweeps across the entire room. Through the swirling mist, a towering dark figure materializes with glowing eyes. It greedily devours every last trace of released energy. Blue lightning crackles through the air, signaling the soul absorption is an absolute success. Ross stands tall in the center of the room, completely wrapped in a shimmering aura of azure lightning. He is thrilled to feel a massive wave of feedback energy rush right back into his body from his minion's breakthrough, shattering his bottleneck and pushing him straight to the peak of the apprentice archmage tier. Ross gives a satisfied nod, reminding himself to stay sharp and keep a low profile around other people. The next morning, regular daily life buzzes right back to normal at the City Magic Academy. Seeing her best friend glancing nervously down the hallway, Anna curiously asks Claire who she is looking for. Claire worries out loud that Ross is nowhere to be seen. Anna sneers and says those mercenaries probably fed that kid's body to the wild beasts last night. Claire snaps back with fury in her eyes, reminding Anna that Ross risked his own life staying behind to protect them. Anna quickly plays nice, explaining she is just stating facts since that blood mercenary crew is notoriously ruthless. Anderson storms down the stairs, fuming that Ross stole his spotlight, while his lackey claims that fool brought death upon himself. But the second he turns around, Anderson nearly jumps out of his skin, spotting Ross calmly strolling right past him on the academy stairs. Anderson is in total panic, unable to comprehend how Ross is alive without a single scratch after that nightmare night. Claire rushes over with pure joy to check on him. Ross just smiles, reassuring her that those mercenaries will never dare bother them again. Anderson and Anna stand completely frozen, baffled by how Ross could walk out of the tiger's den unharmed. Anna casually guesses the Morris family must have dropped a massive fortune in ransom to save him. Anderson mocks him too, saying that useless kid only burdens his family. Sharp clicking heels suddenly cut all the chatter short. Instructor Margaret, the combat magic teacher, steps forward to announce today's lesson is a hands-on battle drill deep inside the monster forest. Ross remembers this forest happens to be the blood mercenary crew's main stomping ground, reminding himself to stay alert to keep Claire safe. Quietly slipping away from the crowd, Ross powers up his magic communication device to reach out directly to Captain Ken for some intel. On the other end, Ken responds with total reverence, ready to report whatever his master needs. Ross demands a full map and a breakdown of the monster forest. Ken reveals that an ancient tomb deep within the forest core is actively leaking dark death energy, driving all the wild beasts crazy and triggering a violent monster horde. He warns that practically nobody makes it out alive from the very center of that tomb. It remains a completely forbidden zone. Ken eagerly offers to send an escort for Ross, but he coldly declines, saying the intel alone is plenty. Ross thinks to himself that this place is a graveyard for ordinary students, but for a necromancer like him, that ancient tomb is a priceless goldmine. The students board the carriages and head toward the training grounds. Anna excitedly takes in the scenery, while Claire simply offers a gentle smile. Inside another carriage, the lackey whispers to Anderson, asking if they should take Ross out during this field drill. Anderson grits his teeth, saying his main target is Claire, but if that kid butts in, he will make him pay. The carriages soon halt right at the monster forest's edge. Instructor Margaret gathers the class, announcing that the Shadowclaw wolf pack is violently surging and requiring every single student to hunt down at least one wolf claw as proof before dark. Right on cue, an ear-splitting explosion rips through the trees as a giant fireball blasts outward, totally obliterating a wooden target. The crowd of students instantly cheers over Anderson's impressive display of magic. The arrogant noble smirks triumphantly, convinced this is his golden ticket to impress the pretty girl. Anna gushes in awe, urging Claire to party up with Anderson's squad for safety. But Claire hesitates and turns it down, suggesting that sticking with Ross is way safer since even those savage mercenaries could not lay a finger on him. Standing alone in a corner, Ross closes his eyes to read the mana flow, extending his sensory reach up to 300 meters after his breakthrough. Just like Ken said, waves of death energy are surging deep inside, driving all the wild beasts into absolute madness. To make sure she stays safe, Ross casually strolls over to Claire and suggests they team up together. Claire breaks into a bright smile and accepts without a second thought. Anderson flaunts the wolf corpse he just bagged while his lackeys cheer. He smirks, claiming low-tier trash like this is barely worth his time. Anna pulls Claire over toward Anderson, loudly asking if they can join the wealthy young master's hunting party. Anderson gladly accepts on the spot, promising he will personally guarantee both young ladies' absolute safety. A strange rustling echoes through the bushes. Through thick purple fog, a giant beast emerges, glaring with fiery eyes as it prepares to pounce. This massive shadow beast radiates a terrifying aura of pure destruction. Sensing the forest's strange shift, Rhode glances over with deep suspicion. Teacher Marguerite immediately senses a monster lord nearby. Noticing Rhode has already picked up on the danger too. Margaret quickly tells Rhode to watch over the other students. Meanwhile, she dashes deep into the woods to eliminate the threat herself. Anderson scoffs at her orders, wondering why a nobody like Rhode should protect him after he just took down a wolf solo. Rhode ignores the whining, fully aware that death energy is driving the beasts mad and turning this place into a death trap for spoiled nobles. Completely oblivious to real danger, Anderson keeps boasting, promising to harvest enough wolf claws for everyone. The squad cautiously advances beneath the dense forest canopy. Anderson finds the eerie silence strange, wondering where the wolves went, when a vicious beast suddenly lunges from the bushes. Thrilled, Anderson yells at Rhode to keep his eyes open and witness true courage. He channels mana and hurls a massive fireball straight into the beast's skull. It detonates with a blinding blast, but to his absolute horror, the wolf strides out completely unharmed. At terrifying speed, the wolf darts right past Anderson, completely shrugging off his strike. Cold sweat pours down his face in pure panic as his surefire fireball fails to leave even a scratch. The wolf lets out a chilling roar, red eyes locking onto Anderson as he cowers in terror. Just in the nick of time, Rhode steps up and quietly casts Infernal Rage. The beast's eyes reflect a burst of ghostly blue flames mid-air, snuffing out its frenzy in an instant. Anderson stands frozen, watching Rhode wield those eerie blue flames, utterly unable to comprehend such insane power. The beast collapses dead on the spot, its carcass still smoking from the residue of Rhode's mana. Claire watches in awe as Rhode drops the wolf in one shot, something Anderson was totally powerless to do. Cold sweat covers Anna, realizing Rhode escaped those mercenaries through raw personal strength, not some ransom payment. Seeing too many monsters to pick off one by one, Rhode readies his ultimate earth summon. Our main lead charges solo straight into the forest's deadliest zone, ignoring Claire's desperate screams begging him to come back. Dozens of bloodthirsty, red-eyed wolves instantly surround Rhode. Unfazed, he calmly summons his colossal bone beast. The ground quakes violently as the massive summon erupts, crushing the surrounding terrain beneath massive skeletal claws. Perched atop the beast's skull, Rhode orders his minion to purge every corrupted wolf across the area. The bone beast roars skyward, unleashing waves of devastating blue flame and heavy slams that send the entire wolf pack flying in one clean sweep. In the distance, Anderson trembles from the shock waves, silently praying that monster doesn't head their way. Claire worries for Rhode, but Anna scoffs, claiming he abandoned them and already got eaten alive. Anna frantically begs Anderson for protection, forcing him to nod awkwardly while sweating bullets under his sheer terror. Rhode's skeletal monster presses on with its rampage through the brush, effortlessly crushing every corrupted creature in its path. Standing tall in the blue mist, Rhode spots a few normal wolves untouched by evil energy, ordering his minion to spare them. The Bone Titan obeys, holding still as the panicked creatures scramble for safety. Leaves rustle nearby, sending Anna into a screeching panic as she clutches her head. Terrified the giant beast is coming. Seeing only terrified regular wolves fleeing past rather than the giant monster, she finally exhales in relief. Anderson instantly regains his swagger, bragging he will shield both girls from these weaklings. Meanwhile, deep in the heart of the forest, Teacher Marguerite channels her full magical power into her staff. Eyes glowing golden, she locks onto the monster lord and unleashes her ultimate spell, Divine Flame Descent, blasting a blazing pillar straight into the sky. Margaret lets out a deep breath of relief, watching the giant insect monster burn down into a pile of black ash on the muddy ground. But her smile fades instantly when she catches the thick, foul stench of dark magic radiating from its charred carcass. A creeping dread hits her, a terrible catastrophe is slowly taking shape deep inside the misty woods. Suddenly her eyes go wide as a terrifying new soul presence surges right toward her position. Heavy hoofbeats thunder violently across the damp earth, echoing through the trees and ripping right through the thick fog. Emerging from the mist is an eerie rider mounted on a skeletal warhorse, engulfed entirely in ghostly blue flames. Every step that Phantom Steed takes leaves behind glowing fiery footprints in the mud, proving without a doubt that the true source of this evil fog has finally arrived. None other than an ancient undead knight. Marguerite shivers, realizing this terrifying specter is a fallen warrior recently awakened from an ancient abyss tomb. That soaring mid-tier archmage aura radiating from its body is the exact force driving the entire forest wild with rage. Knowing full well the massive power gap between them, Margaret knows if she backs down, her students behind her will be slaughtered without mercy. She chooses to stake her very life to stop this monstrosity right here. Zero hesitation. Pouring every drop of remaining mana into her staff, she roars and triggers her forbidden ultimate spell, Heavenly Meteor Fire. A massive pillar of fire crashes down like a blazing meteor from above, tearing the sky apart and lighting up the dark forest. The earth-shattering blast hits the undead knight dead on, drowning the monster in a raging sea of crimson flames. Panting heavily from pure exhaustion after that all-out strike, Marguerite smiles weakly, praying she just sent the beast to eternal oblivion. But her relief shatters instantly. The undead knight strides right out of the inferno without a single scratch. With one vicious slash, the beast sends the female instructor flying backward, crashing painfully onto the damp, muddy ground. Rhode stands calmly in the shadows, watching the entire spectacle unfold. He nods approvingly at the burrowing behemoth for a job well done, then waves his hand to send the bone beast back into darkness. Sensing a massive surge of dark mana right after, you can see Rhode turning a razor-sharp glare toward his real opponent closing in. The creature aims its heavy lance directly at Rhode, who easily spots it as an elite spirit warrior awakened by the sinister fog. Radiating the sovereign aura of the underworld, Rhode coldly declares he is the true master of death, ordering his foe to kneel in submission. Ignoring the warning completely, the spirit knight spurs its steed forward. It thrusts its iron spear straight at the boy's chest, tearing through the air with surges of eerie blue energy. Clanging metal echoes loudly as Rhode effortlessly evades every lethal strike with pinpoint precision. Shock waves from the clash gouge out the earth and blast away surrounding trees as Rhode measures his enemy's strength. He notices the dark, sinister haze wrapping this night runs remarkably dense compared to its actual cultivation realm. Far in the distance, Anderson and the two girls watch in horror as a pitch-black energy cyclone spirals into the sky. Claire trembles, covering her mouth, stammering that her entire body cannot stop shaking from fear. Pointing toward the vortex, Anderson nervously warns, that is the exact direction that Kid Rhode ran off into all alone. Meanwhile, Marguerite lies wounded on the scorched dirt, her eyes wide in utter disbelief at Rhode's hidden combat strength. Struggling to stand, she knows her students are back there, and she must stop this monster at all costs. Back in the ruined clearing, the young necromancer stands unfazed before the undead knight. Rhode can tell the dark fog completely stripped his enemy's sanity, turning him into a mindless hunting machine. Looking down on him with cold disdain, Rhode calls him pathetic and promises to free his soul from this torment, while the undead knight roars out that he will never bow. The knight instantly triggers a berserk charge, rocketing straight toward Rhode's chest at breakneck speed. Rhode calmly raises his fingers, cloaked in ghostly blue flames. Knowing his physical body cannot take a head-on collision, he unleashes a necromancy skill, Echoes of Memory, firing a potent mental illusion straight into his foe brain. Flashing a wicked smile, Rhode tells the knight to savor every second of the horrific nightmare custom-crafted just for him. The night mind is violently dragged back to a bloody ancient battlefield, surrounded by comrades, corpses, and screams echoing to the heavens. Tormented brutally by the agonizing memories he desperately tried to bury, that undead knight howls in pure despair. Giant spectral blue eyes of Rhode materialize across the illusionary sky, declaring that this dreamscape will become his eternal grave. Rhode sees this as the perfect chance to test Bone Crown's true power now that his full strength is restored. He excitedly declares that this will be the first official battle for his loyal subordinate. Bone Crown answers with an iron resolve, swearing an oath to wipe out the enemy without mercy. Driven into pure madness by the illusion, the undead knight turns into an uncontrollable killing machine, screaming to slaughter everything in sight. Without hesitation, Bone Crown swings a massive greatsword blazing with blue flames, unleashing an earth-shattering strike. The two weapons collide, triggering a massive magical explosion right across the clearing. Razor-sharp shockwaves rip through the air, slicing ancient trees clean in half. A breathtaking high-speed sword duel breaks out, with fiery clashes lighting up the gloomy forest. Bone Crown skillfully parries every vicious thrust from the iron spear, channeling pure spiritual energy right into the blade. Rhode's loyal servant unleashes his finishing technique, a clean vertical slash. It snaps the iron spear in two and shatters the enemy's armor completely. Weaponless, the undead knight roars and charges in for one final desperate attack. Bone Crown activates a radiant sword shield skill, spinning the blazing blue flames, whipping up a sword storm that shreds the monster into 100 pieces. A brilliant burst of magic swallows the undead knight whole, finally ending this ancient forest terror. The creature's physical body crumbles to ash under the weight of Rhode's soul power. Sheathing his sword, Bone Crown drops to one knee with total respect to report their decisive victory to Rhode. The skeletal mount and shattered iron armor dissolve into glowing blue soul dust, drifting into the sky as peace returns to the forest. Rhode walks over to collect the final remnant soul, purifying it and sending the lost spirit off into eternity. Leaning on her staff with a noticeable limp, Teacher Margaret stumbles into the flattened clearing in complete shock. She freezes, spotting her student Rhode, standing all alone right in the middle of a massive crater. The undead knight's aura has completely vanished from the area. Margaret shivers, wondering if this kid really took down an archmage-tier monster all by himself. Rhode turns around calmly, smiling as he says he is relieved to see his teacher safe and sound. Suspicious, Marguerite asks outright if he saw the evil awakened headless knight. Rhode casually lies, saying he did not see any monster around, claiming the woods were already completely trashed like this when he followed the wolf tracks here. Even though Rhode denies everything, Margaret cannot sense any other lingering energy nearby. Suspecting her student is deliberately hiding his absurd strength, she accepts his excuse for now, thanking Rhode for keeping everyone safe. Rhode gently advises her to treat her injuries before returning to the class, so she does not scare the other students. Marguerite nods in agreement, immediately chanting a golden recovery spell that heals every single wound on her body. When she turns around to keep talking, Marguerite is stunned to find Rhode has already vanished without a trace. Meanwhile, Rhode tracks the lingering dark energy to pinpoint the exact location of the ancient tomb Ken described. Heading deep underground, he finds the entrance to a ruined ancient cavern where dark purple flames swirl ominously. Stepping into the ancient stone chamber, Rhode smirks with satisfaction as he spots his main objective. A massive magic circle glowing bright blue is carved deep into the stone floor. He immediately recognizes it as an artificial array planted to awaken the undead knight, proving someone is plotting something sinister behind the academy's back. Rhode waves his hand, disrupting the array's energy flow, mocking such crude magic while casually pocketing the dark magic stones to use as crafting materials later. Back at the forest edge, Margaret finds all the students safe. Clay anxiously reports that Rhode still has not returned since the magic cyclone erupted. Margaret knows full well that Rhode took down the beast. Quietly terrified by her students' insane power, Anderson sneers, saying Rhode probably wet his pants in fear and ran home to his mom. Right on cue, Rhode casually strolls out of the woods, turning in the wolf claws to ace the exam and leaving Anderson completely speechless. Margaret smiles, wrapping up the combat drill and ushering all the students onto carriages heading back to the academy. Meanwhile, a mysterious cloaked figure steps into the ancient cavern deep in the forest, touching the completely shattered magic array. Their eyes flare with fury upon realizing someone ruined their entire scheme. Gritting their teeth, they vow to make this meddler pay with their life. The next day at the academy, Rhode is strolling down the hallway when a commotion catches everyone's eye. A flashy blonde student named Cass walks casually across the courtyard, stealing the hearts of dozens of girls. Anderson glares in pure jealousy, grumbling that girls only care about the famous Cass. Rhode asks bluntly if Anderson really hates Cass that much. Anderson snaps right back, venting his frustration. Cass struts over with a smirk, telling everyone to clear the path. Anderson loses his temper, barking that Ka should step aside instead, sparking an intense stare-down between two proud noble heirs. Instructor Margaret steps in to break up the crowd, telling both boys to save that fiery temper for their afternoon combat class. Afterwards, Rhode heads to Marguerite's private office, asking to skip combat class, prompting her to playfully tease whether he is dodging trouble or hiding his real skills. Rhode cuts right to the chase, asking if she knows anything about an ancient artifact called the Tear of the Dead. Marguerite confirms the ancient relic is locked in the Academy vault, but belongs to the eccentric Professor Gustav. She promises to introduce Rhode to the eccentric scholar, provided he joins afternoon combat class and shows off his real strength. To get what he needs, Rhode agrees to the deal. That afternoon in the arena, Alana warms up as Kea approaches to greet her and ask about her grandfather. She gives a polite reply, but the second Rhode walks in, she completely ignores Ka and excitedly rushes toward Rhode. Rhode presses a quiet finger against his lips, and she catches on immediately, covering her mouth to keep their secret safe. Left standing all alone, Ka glares at Rhode with pure hatred burning in his eyes. Anderson storms onto the arena stage to challenge Ka and settle morning scores. And here is where things get wild, pure hand-to-hand brawling, no magic allowed. Right at that moment, a bald student walks over to Rhode with bloodthirsty eyes, grinding out every word, "Hey, brat. I remember you blocking Ka's way earlier today, right? Get up, because I am about to break every bone in your body." The loud commotion draws curious eyes from all around as the thug barks again, "Get on your feet so I can snap your bones." As Anderson and Ka square off for real combat, the instructor suddenly chimes in from behind. "I have no clue what feud you two have going on." The teacher permits the fight with a stern warning, "Remember, this is purely physical sparring, and magic is strictly banned." With the teacher giving the green light, Anderson gets super pumped up. Cracking his wrists, he answers, "Teacher, let me fight Ka. My hand-to-hand combat is just as deadly as my spells." The instructor routinely turns to Ka, asking if he accepts the duel. Ka's face turns grim as he drops his voice low. "I accept." Ka furrows his brows, his cold gaze locked on his opponent. "You brought this upon yourself, so do not blame me for what follows." Across from him, Anderson's fiery spirit does not waver for a second as he tosses out another cocky taunt. "Let us see if you can keep that smug face after eating dirt." Up in the stands, Anna nervously grabs Lei's hand in panic. She panics over Anderson and Ka having a physical clash, leaving Le no choice but to try and calm her friend down. Lei reminds Anna she used to believe in Anderson's strength, but Anna still cannot stop shaking with worry. That is true, but Anna heard Ka learned brutal military combat from his older brother. Back in the ring, Anderson charges in with wild initial strikes. "I have waited ages for this, you arrogant bastard. I cannot wait to smash that smug face in." Ka stands completely composed in his combat stance, effortlessly slipping past that heavy iron fist in a flash. In the blink of an eye, Ka slips right behind his back, raising a sharp elbow before Anderson can even react. Anderson crashes hard, spinning across the floor with a heavy thud, sending all the watching girls blushing as they cheer Ka on. Young Master Ka looks so incredibly cool and powerful. Anna instantly swoons, praising Ka straight to the moon. "Lei, do you not think Ka is pretty handsome? Rich background, massive strength, he is literally my dream prince right here." Standing tall over the slumped Anderson, Ka speaks coldly, "Give up. You are simply no match for me." Looking down on him like absolute dirt, Ka demands, "Apologize right now, and I might just overlook your disrespect." Spitting a mouthful of blood onto the floor, Anderson refuses to yield, fiercely barking back, "Screw off, you damn bastard! Get over here!" With a roar, Anderson swings wild and lunges forward, while Ka ducks effortlessly underneath, murmuring with zero emotion, "You brought this on yourself." Then Ka drives his knee straight up into Anderson's chin with devastating force. You can feel the room freeze. Everyone is staring with their jaws dropped wide open. Watching quietly from a distance, Lei takes it all in. Meanwhile, near the stairs, the bald thug sneers down at Rhode, "Quit watching, because soon enough you will be on your knees begging just like that punk." Watching this clown act all tough, Rhode just mentally scoffs. Even in a second life, foolish, arrogant idiots never change. The thug winds up a heavy punch, barking his lesson, kid. Remember well, never block our path again. Rhode remains totally unfazed, calmly reflecting that in his previous life, he had risen as an arch-necromancer transcending legendary tiers. He settled every war with his undead legion, rarely needing to throw a direct punch himself. Leaking sharp killing intent as he drops into a stance, Rhode thinks, but that does not mean I lack the combat skills to dismantle trash like you. He would not even need his past battle expertise here. Meanwhile, across the arena, Ka keeps preaching down to Anderson. Get the message now? You are no match for me. Flattened on the dirt, the fallen punk can only curse under his breath, damn it. Out of nowhere, a body goes flying right past his field of view. The bald guy smashes straight into the stone wall, pulverizing it. He slumps down as the cloud of dust clears away. Every single pair of eyes across the training grounds snaps toward the scene. Maz stares wide-eyed at the sudden takedown. Anna hesitates for a second before turning to Lee, asking if Rhodes really just pulled off that exact move. Meanwhile, Rhodes stands tall with overwhelming momentum, though right now, a tiny twinge of regret starts creeping into his mind. Oh boy, I went easy on him, but who knew he was this fragile? Kaguya's gaze darkens with pure menace, signaling serious trouble ahead. Inspecting the unconscious bald brawler foaming at the mouth, he lets out an ominous aura that turns the entire atmosphere suffocating. Stepping forward, Kaguya corners Rhodes and demands to know his name. Without holding back, he immediately throws out sharp accusations. This is just a sparring match. So did you really have to hit him that hard? Unshaken, Rhodes shoots right back at Kaguya. Relax, I held back, so he will be fine. Besides, I do not think you have any right to lecture me about holding back. Looking over, Anderson is in terrible shape too. Calling him out like that instantly strikes a nerve with Kaguya's massive ego. Is that so? Anna clutches her head in sheer panic, crying out to Lee that Rhodes just provoked Kaguya. That idiot is totally done for since even Anderson could not beat him. The entire crowd starts buzzing with nervous whispers. Young Master Kaguya is truly furious now. Isn't that guy the trash of the Morris clan? Where did he get the guts to provoke him? Covering her mouth in disbelief, Alina wonders if Master Rhodes is actually about to cripple Kaguya right here. Hopefully not. Yet Maz watches with eager anticipation, telling himself to see what the kid is made of if he truly wants the tears of death. Seeing Kaguya drop into a low fighting stance, everyone around gasps in shock. You can tell they instantly recognize this stance. Is Kaguya finally unleashing his clan's secret martial art? Rumor says this technique unleashes spell-tier destruction without using mana. Lunging forward like a rabid beast, he thrusts his fist ahead in a crushing iron strike. Nervous chatter echoes across the tense grounds. Way too fast. Kaguya wasn't even going all out against Anderson. Can a human truly move at that speed without magic enhancement? Seeing Rhodes freeze, the onlookers shout in frenzy, asking why the Morris trash won't dodge. As the punch closes in, tension peaks. But with effortless grace, Rhodes simply raises a single hand and halts the attack completely. Kaguya's pupils shrink in sheer disbelief. Impossible. My crushing iron strike hits like a cannon and shatters solid boulder, yet he stopped it? Instantly, he leaps backward to put some distance between them. Kaguya is genuinely shaken by this bizarre feat. Trained by his older brother since age 6, there is no way he could lose to a useless nobody. Keeping a stone-cold expression, Rhodes questions him. Hey, is this lethal force what you call a friendly class spar? Rhodes knows full well what would have happened. If Anderson took that direct hit, he would be bedridden for at least a month. The gallery erupts again. Did Rhodes seriously just catch Kaguya's heavy strike with his bare hand? Kaguya was clearly holding back so he wouldn't brutally injure a classmate the way Rhodes did. That is right. Kaguya is way too merciful. Meanwhile, Kaguya channels another attack, charging at Rhodes with pure rage behind a barrage of rapid-fire strikes. Yet Rhodes effortlessly sways past every incoming punch, his sharp gaze coldly measuring every single move his opponent makes. If this guy is genuine, he cannot be this ridiculously weak. Gathering purple aura into his fist, Kaguya finally manages to push him back. Still steady, Rhodes recalibrates his power, thinking he might need to put in a tiny bit more effort. The sycophants immediately cheer, screaming that young Master Kaguya is truly unmatched. Tear that arrogant brat apart! Landing smoothly on the platform, Rhodes brushes the dust off his shirt with a mocking grin. Is that really all you have got? Kaguya's face turns completely pale in pure shock. How can this be? The guy is completely unscathed after taking the crushing iron strike he honed for years. Giving him zero time to recover, Rhodes makes his declaration. You threw plenty of punches. Now, it is my turn. Alino peeks through her fingers to watch what happens next. Is it finally time, Master Rhodes? An overwhelming wave of pure killing intent suddenly explodes from his body. I wanted to keep a low profile, but for the tears of death, I have no other choice. In a flash, he bursts forward like a blur, and within seconds Rhodes' fist is right in Kaguya's face. Terrified, Kaguya frantically raises his arms to block. Even so, the sheer shockwave blasts Kaguya away. Slamming brutally against the reinforced wall, the devastating impact forces him to cough up a mouthful of blood. Anna stands frozen in utter disbelief. Rhodes beat Kaguya. That supposed good-for-nothing Rhodes? Lee frowns deeply as everything clicks into place. So what happened back at the tavern wasn't just pure luck after all. Anna and the other girls immediately lash out at Rhodes, demanding to know if young Master Kaguya is all right and why he struck so brutally during simple sparring. The rest of their classmates jump in to accuse him too, shouting that Kaguya never even hurt him, yet he went out of his way to humiliate him. They swear that in a real life-or-death battle, Kaguya would never lose to someone like him. The mob mentality quickly spirals out of control, fiercely demanding Rhodes get on his knees and apologize to Kaguya right now. They sneer that he has zero noble dignity, claiming no wonder his own clan abandoned him. Rhodes just looks at these disgusting fools, utterly fed up inside. In his past life, he would have sent an undead legion to wipe out these annoyances instantly. Suddenly, Alino screams at the top of her lungs to stop them. Enough! Everyone instantly turns their gaze toward her, while Rhodes quietly watches to see what Alino does next. She bravely steps forward to shut down every single critic, demanding who they think they are to judge her master. Catching herself, she quickly corrects it to young Master Rhodes, glaring straight into their faces to fiercely defend him. She asks them what would have happened if Kaguya landed his crushing iron fist and chain strikes. If you are weak, do not step up and make a fool of yourself. The Academy students stand completely stunned by her fiery attitude. Why on earth is Lady Alino stepping up to protect a useless outcast like Rhodes? Paying them no mind, Alino walks over and grabs his hand, calling him young Master Rhodes and firmly insisting they leave together right this second. She tells him not to waste another breath on these clowns, and the two quickly walk away from the noisy mob. Meanwhile, Kaguya lies on the dirt, burning with pure rage. Rhodes moi. Behind the door, Margaret stands with her arms crossed, a confident smirk curling on her lips. Her hunch was right, this kid possesses power far beyond anyone's expectations. She figures she might just introduce him to that eccentric old professor. Walking behind Alino, Rhodes suddenly asks with genuine concern, "Is doing this really okay?" He understands noble politics all too well, knowing the Abel family maintains close ties with the backers behind Kaguya. He wonders if backing him might damage her family alliances, but she simply lets out a soft sigh and reassures Rhodes. She admits she never liked that flashy brat or his clan anyway, casually flipping a lock of her hair with a playful, curious glance. Besides, the Abel family stands firmly by his side now, and if he dislikes them, they will cut ties with that faction entirely. Still somewhat doubtful, Rhodes asks if she is truly sure. She beams brightly, giving Rhodes an absolute, unwavering confirmation. She explains that thanks to him, her grandfather regained his strength, so they fear no trouble from anyone. Rhodes then pulls out a dark magic stone. He tells her he needs her clan to assist him with something crucial. Alino clutches both cheeks in sheer awe. This dark, magical aura feels intensely overwhelming. Rhodes gets straight down to business, explaining someone is plotting something sinister with dark magic, and he needs her clan to track it. Without hesitation, she gladly accepts the mission handed to her. Consider it done, Master Rhodes. The entire Able family obeys your command. Somewhere else, Kaguya sits bruised and battered, head hung low in defeat. Locked in his room, he gnashes his teeth in bitter hatred before making a call, pleading for his brother help. The voice on the other end calmly asks what happened. Kaguya furiously vents about how that useless trash from the Moise family humiliated him in front of Lady Alino. His eyes flare with deep malice as he stresses that Lady Alino actually seems extremely close to the bastard. Now, look at how vicious noble retaliation gets. He tells his brother their proud family cannot let this insult slide. His brother tells him he understands, mentioning that Lord Jenny is passing through the area and will be sent directly to meet him. A dark smile creeps across Kaguya's face with intense anticipation, asking if he means the infamous assassin feared across the entire empire as the ferocious wolf. His brother calmly confirms it. Kaguya bursts into manic laughter, thrilled that with Lord Jenny stepping in, Rhodes will vanish from this world without leaving a single trace behind. Meanwhile, a wooden door slowly creaks open to reveal a figure inside. Rhodes steps in, looking up to see a familiar silhouette waiting right ahead. Professor Margaret. She gazes back at him, her eyes carrying a distinct look of admiration. She mentions she watched his match today and admits his performance truly astonished her. Deep down, Margaret reflects on how spot-on her instincts were. He really must be the one who defeated that resurrected ancient knight. Feeling slightly put on the spot, Rhodes gives a direct answer. He asks if she is teasing him, explaining he had to go all out to secure the Tears of Death. She flashes a knowing smile, as if having a solution ready for Rhodes all along, revealing that the Tears of Death are held by an old academy professor. She tells him to follow her, confident that an extraordinary young talent like him will easily satisfy the old scholar. Footsteps echo through the stone academy corridor, as Margaret softly warns him that the professor carries quite an erratic temper. He better brace himself. She quickly leads Rhodes to their destination, the Magic Research Institute of the Seven Cities Magic Academy. Margaret gestures toward the man ahead, introducing Professor Guta of their academy, before presenting the young boy to the scholar. Professor, this is the remarkable young man I told you about. But he does not even bother looking up, snapping that he knows already and telling them not to disturb him right now. Mazet turns and gives him a quick signal. She lowers her voice and reminds Rhodes that the Tear of Death he wants belongs to him, her eyes turning dead serious. He is kind of eccentric, so whether Rhodes can actually get it from him comes down to his own skill. Rhodes nods quietly in thanks while Mazet watches ahead, silently wondering if that thing on the table is just a dead cat. Judging by those intricate magic circuits, is this professor actually trying to master resurrection magic? In midair, a sparkling drop of magic quickly falls as Guta focuses completely, rushing to pour the magic stone circuit right into the dead cat. His eyes flash with intensity, locked straight onto the creature. Then, in the very next second, the mana right before them violently erupts. Mazet flinches at the sudden blast, calling out his name in alarm. Professor Guta clenches his fists, disappointment written all over his face. How could this fail when ancient texts clearly state that pure life force can stabilize fragile soul fragments? Why did he fail again? She sighs softly, quietly explaining what she knows about the situation. Lately, Professor Guta has been totally obsessed with studying resurrection magic. He seems to be digging into advanced soul research without making any real progress. Rhodes watches silently, unable to shake the feeling that something is completely off. This world has such a shallow grasp of the soul. Otherwise, throughout thousands of years of legendary archmages, why has not a single necromancer ever appeared? Guta leans down toward the cat, doubt creeping back into his eyes. Did he use too small a dose? He ponders for a moment before guessing that maybe the life force just was not strong enough. Refusing to give up, Guta pushes even more magic straight into the cat. And watch what happens next. The mana violently erupts again, triggering an even bigger shockwave than before, while Rhodes immediately spots the core flaw in his method. Using life force to stabilize a soul after death, that is basically like trying to start a fire under thick ice. Those two energies only cancel each other out. He has got the whole concept backwards. Gouda clenches his fists, pure fury and frustration across his face. Damn it, why did it fail again when he followed the ancient texts to the letter? Where did he go wrong? Rhode stays completely calm, looking at the potions on the table before speaking up. Professor, maybe you should get rid of those potions full of life force. Gouda instantly scowls, his glare loaded with irritation. Is this the kid Maze brought over? Even if she praised him endlessly, that does not give him permission to spout nonsense here. Gouda looks Rhodes up and down, his tone freezing cold. You have not even studied basic soul theory, so what could you possibly know about resurrection? Losing his patience, he turns his back, clearly done wasting time on an argument. Come back another time and stop bothering me right now. But Rhodes stands his ground, eyes locked on that dead cat. Professor, that life is already gone. The life force you are pumping into it is not fuel, it is straight poison. And no matter how many times you try, the result stays the same. Gouda repeats that last word in utter disbelief, calling it poison as a surge of real anger boils up inside him. You arrogant brat, do you even realize this is water from the spring of life taken from the ancient forest? A single sip can save someone from fatal wounds, yet you dare call it poison? Rhodes remains totally calm, completely unfazed by the professor's furious aura. Professor, we need to accept the simple fact that it is dead. To understand souls, you must view them through the eyes of the dead. Maybe try adding ancient graveyard soil into your magic circle instead. Rhodes thinks to himself, a subtle flash of confidence in his eyes. In this world, no one understands death better than him. Maze frowns and yells out, Rhodes, you idiot, why are you arguing with the professor right now? Gouda repeats Rhodes's words, his expression turning deadly serious at the idea of approaching it from death's perspective. Falling silent, he decides to follow the advice and places ancient graveyard soil directly into the magic circle. Under the power of the magic circle, the cat's body slowly begins floating into midair. You can see Gouda's eyes go wide in pure shock, wondering if he is about to succeed, while Rhodes watches every shift with total focus. Success? Rhodes quickly realizes that if this cat had only just died, maybe that would work, his gaze turning deep and calculating. But this cat's soul vanished long ago, and if anyone can call it back from the void, it is only him. He slowly raises his hand as necromantic mana radiates outward, commanding the wandering spirit through the absolute authority of the undead king. Rhodes' voice rings out cold and commanding as he orders it to return, and under his command, the soul snaps back into the dead vessel. Rhodes watches calmly, having already seen through the limits of the spell. A soul summoned back like this can only linger for 7 days at best. Gouda gasps out loud, pure shock completely wiping away every shred of his earlier doubt. It actually worked. He rushes straight forward, staring at the boy with intense excitement, asking him to wait and tell him his name. Where did he learn such a theory? Mazette smiles warmly and quickly steps in, telling the professor that this is the exact student she mentioned before, Rhode. Gouda stares at him in sheer excitement, voice overflowing with admiration. You have no idea what you just pulled off, kid. After all these years, my life's work on resurrection magic has finally succeeded. You even went and overturned a core principle from the Grand Archmage himself. You are an absolute genius. She stares at the professor, completely stunned by this total shift in attitude. Does the professor really rate Rhode this highly? Gouda grows even more fascinated, eyes gleaming as he watches the boy. Your way of thinking is on a whole different level. It completely shatters all existing magical theory. Tell me, what else do you know? Rhode just shakes his head, totally calm despite the praise. You flatter me, Professor. I just happen to understand the undead a bit differently. That is when Gouda suddenly remembers why he came here. I remember now, Margaret says you came looking for the tear of death. Gouda looks down at the carefully preserved item in his grasp. He locks eyes with Rhode, practically begging for a partnership. Agree to just one condition, and this is all yours. Gouda stares straight at the boy, his voice heavy with blatant anticipation. I want you to become my assistant. The old man gets more worked up by the second, eyes burning with passion. Join me as my research assistant, and I will personally get you the tear of death, plus magic materials far rarer than this. Resurrection magic is completely uncharted territory. Team up with me, and we could rewrite the entire history of magic itself. Right away, Rhode starts weighing the immediate benefits in his head. You mean I can actually get materials even rarer than the Tear of Death? That reward is pretty massive. Margaret cannot hide her utter shock and immediately objects out loud. Professor, what are you even saying? Rod Marie is just a first-year student, and you want him as an assistant? Gouda instantly scowls, clearly irritated at being questioned by her. Shut your mouth, Margaret, you do not even understand true genius, which is exactly why you were never qualified to be my assistant. She grits her teeth hard, deeply irritated by the stubborn old man's arrogant behavior. Calmly, the boy speaks up, making his move without missing a beat. I accept your generous offer. Professor, working alongside you would be an absolute honor. Inside, Rod Morit calculates smoothly this is exactly what he wanted. Having an official title and a private academy lab will make his future plans so much easier. Gouda pulls out a key and hands it straight to him. This unlocks the research lab, so feel free to use it whenever you want. He keeps talking, officially cementing Rod Morit's new status. This key is literal proof of your brand new position. Starting today, you are my chief assistant. Margaret freezes in place, her mind spinning from how fast everything is moving. Rod Morit was literally my student, and now he is suddenly the professor's top assistant? Does this mean we are actually co-workers now? She stares blankly at the two of them, wondering how things spiraled like this. 2 days later, as night falls, lanterns from a crystal tavern light up the entire street. A young lord sits quietly in the corner, nursing his drink, until an underling rushes over and bows. Young Master Kaguya, the man you have been waiting for is here. He sets his cup down, gaze instantly turning freezing cold. Send him in. Moments later, the heavy door swings open as a figure walks in. Jenny strides through the thick smoke, casually scanning the entire tavern with cold indifference. Kaguya immediately jumps to his feet with a warm smile. Welcome, Lord Jenny. I have long heard of your fierce reputation as the savage wolf, but the man brushes off the praise save the flattery. Kid, I only came to this barren northern dump for your brother. Spit it out. What do you want? Kaguya's smile completely freezes on his face, annoyance flaring deep inside him. How dare this mercenary look down on him? He drops a pouch of coins and a file onto the table. Lord Jenny, here is the deposit and the target's info. Once the job is done, I will pay you another 3,000 gold coins. He points directly at the dossier on the table, clearly detailing the target's identity. Rod Morit, a complete nobody from a ruined noble house, who is currently studying at the 7th City Magic Academy. Jenny raises an eyebrow in sheer disbelief. A student? Did I hear that right? The brother of Officer Dusu, heir of the great Segudo clan, is hiring me to butcher some broke country student? He leans back into his chair, eyes dripping with contempt for the contract. Young Master Kaguya, I do not have time for child's play. A punk like that is not worth dirtying my hands over. Kaguya scrambles to explain, desperate to convince Jenny to take the job. Lord Jenny, that brat somehow got pretty close to the heir of the Abeng clan. On top of that, this order comes straight from my older brother. Suddenly, the mercenary connects the dots in his head. The Abeng family? Now I get it. No wonder. Jenny goes quiet for a second before calmly naming a brand new price. If this order comes directly from Lord Dusu, I will take the contract, but the final payout is 5,000 gold coins. Without hesitation, Kaguya agrees on the spot. Fine. Just make sure that guy ends up dead. As he gets ready to leave, his voice drops, eyes turning dead serious as he tells Master Jenny to keep it clean, so no one traces this back to the Saute Hoi family. Jenny just smirks with the cool confidence of a veteran assassin. Relax, young Master Kaguya. A true professional assassin always follows his own code. Even if a contract fails, we never expose our client, he adds smoothly, dripping with pure self-assurance. And of course, I never fail. Kaguya fumes, his eyes practically burning with deep hatred. Rhode, you humiliated me in front of Lady Alino and everyone else, so tonight is your last night alive. Up on a high rooftop, Jenny silently scans the street below. Running through every detail from the target file, his gaze locks onto his position. Based on the intel from young Master Kaguya, Jenny watches the crowd, waiting patiently for his mark to appear. That Rhode kid walks down this exact street every single day. Standing on the rooftop, his eyes snap to the figure who just stepped into view. My 5,000 gold coins have arrived. Walking along, Rhode thinks back on his hectic days in the research lab. Who knew Professor Gouda could still be this energetic at his age? He keeps me swamped with resurrection magic research, to the point I have no time to use the Tears of Death to upgrade Lazy. Suddenly, he catches an unusual aura nearby. Looks like we have got a little trouble on our hands. Rhode silently tracks the presence trailing behind him. An arrogant assassin who does not even bother hiding his killing intent. Judging by his aura, the guy is at least a peak beginner Grand Mage, slightly stronger than Gome. Definitely not someone who should be roaming this remote northern region. Shifting direction on a dime, he cuts into a deserted alleyway. Jenny hangs back, quietly tracking every single step Rhode takes, calmly piecing together the stalker motive. The answer becomes crystal clear in his mind without a shadow of a doubt. I am his exact target. Could he be tied to the magic circle I ruined back in the monster forest? Rhode stops in his tracks, turning to face his stalker head-on. Whatever. I will just ask him myself. The assassin steps out from the shadows, scanning the alley with an amused smirk. So this is the graveyard the brat picked out for himself? What a considerate little guy. Rhode sharpens his gaze, snapping his focus right onto the silhouette behind him. Jenny pauses for a beat, totally caught off guard that Rhode already clocked his position. But wiping away his shock, his eyes turn icy cold as he barks out, "What is with that look, brat? You are dead meat." Gripping his sword hilt, a surge of magic wraps around the blade. He lunges forward in a flash, unleashing his signature assassin technique. Shadow assassination strikes, both forces colliding violently as a thunderous shockwave rattles the entire alleyway. Blood drips quietly onto the pavement in the dead silence. Rhode calmly catches the bare blade with his bare hands, staring down his enemy with cold, unbothered eyes. "Speak up! Who sent you?" Terror suddenly erupts inside the assassin chest. This is impossible. No beginner Grand Mage has ever blocked my shadow assassination before. That very technique earned me the title of the Ferocious Wolf, yet this brat stopped it with his bare hands. In sheer panic, Jenny yanks his sword back to break free from his grip, stumbling backward while locking his wary eyes onto Rhode. Sizing up his target power, the realization hits him, could he actually be an intermediate Grand Mage? Bad news, I need to get out of here. Activating shadow magic, his body melts into the darkness as Jenny turns without hesitation to escape the alley. Rhode watches the fleeing figure, his voice staying chillingly calm as he mutters, refusing to talk. "Are we? Fine by me. I have got plenty of ways to make you talk." Firing a bolt of lightning, he locks onto the runner trail. Up ahead, a colossal shadow emerges, completely cutting off his escape route. Jenny freezes in utter disbelief at the figure looming before him. What on earth is that? Pivoting hard, he scrambles to dodge sideways to break away. Sword King steps forward with absolute composure, drawing his blade from its sheath while Rhode approaches the subdued assassin. "Ready to talk now?" Jenny tries to play it cool, but sheer panic bleeds through his trembling voice. "Let me go, or you will regret this. The people backing me will hunt you down." Completely unfazed by the empty threat, Rhode's eyes grow colder as he says, still stubborn, "Do not blame me then." He slowly extends his hand forward. Necromantic mana gathers across his palm, and with a quiet whisper from Rhode, an eerie magic instantly envelops the man. Necromancy memory echo reveals everything, projecting the vivid scene of Kaguya, handing the hit contract over to Jenny. "This is my older brother orders too, and I will tack on another 3,000 gold coins once the job is done. Done deal. As long as you kill him." Rhode chuckles at the memory replay. "The Sautehoy family sending a beginner Grand Mage to assassinate me is practically suicide." Wincing in agony, Jenny yells out a desperate warning, "Let me go, you brat, or Lord Dussault will never let you off the hook." But Rhode just gives a chilling reply, "Do not worry. Pretty soon, the entire Sautehoy family will be wiped off the map. Dot smirks in amusement, telling him that an entry-level archmage soul makes a rare feast for his loyal minions. Lit gets summoned instantly, and the man screams in sheer terror as the creature opens its gaping jaws right at him. What kind of monster is this? Get away from me. Jenny gets swallowed whole by Lit, while Dot watches completely unfazed. Still, the Suguke family remains one of the greatest powerhouse clans across all 7 northern cities. He cannot act recklessly against them just yet, and must wait for the right moment. Meanwhile, over at the Crystal Tavern, Kaguya sips fine wine, totally clueless. Sir Jenny must have already finished the job by now, he thinks. Dot, that worthless trash. Let us see if you dare defy me ever again. Kaguya bursts into excited laughter and makes a decision. He will personally send invitations to every classmate and throw a massive victory party tomorrow, prompting his subordinate to bow in deep respect. By the next day, Elino holds an invitation in her hands, resting her chin in deep thought. What is Kaguya even planning this time? Why host a party out of nowhere? Suddenly, Dot appears behind her, and Elino turns around with a bright smile, calling out to Master Dot. He calmly asks if she is feeling troubled because of whatever she is holding right now. She nods and explains that Kaguya is randomly throwing a banquet for no clear reason, sending invitations out to literally everyone. Dot raises an eyebrow, asking if it is really a party invite. Elino sighs, admitting she detests the guy and could care less about his gathering. But Dot coldly tells her she should definitely attend. He suspects why Kaguya set this up, though she looks confused, pointing out that Kaguya did not even send him an invitation. Dot calmly replies that of course Kaguya would never invite him, making Elino quickly jog over to press further. She wonders if it is because Dot beat him up earlier, stunned by his pettiness, as the scene shifts to a lavish banquet mansion. A stern gatekeeper steps forward, firmly demanding to see their banquet invitation first. Otherwise, they cannot enter, so an annoyed Elino presents her pass, stating she is Elino, and this man is accompanying her. As the guard hesitates, another guard rushes over and whispers in his ear, making him immediately bow down in humility. Welcoming Lady Elino inside, the guard quickly ushers in both her and her companion. Dot walks beside her and thanks her for getting him inside, while Elino gives an awkward smile and apologizes for the fuss. Meanwhile, inside a half-open dressing room, Kaguya adjusts his outfit and asks if Sir Jenny has returned yet. His servant nervously replies that Jenny has been missing since last night, worriedly asking if the assassin could have actually failed the mission. Kaguya snaps around in pure fury, barking at his lackey to shut his damn mouth. Jenny is a legendary imperial assassin, so how could he ever fail, leaving the trembling servant stammering out apologies? Right after, Kaguya loudly orders them to prepare the final payout, since Sir Jenny could return at any second. The subordinates bow down obediently. While out in the grand hall, guests are thoroughly enjoying the festive banquet. Kaguya beams with excitement with that eyesore finally gone. Nobody stands between him and Lady Elino anymore. Everything the Abel house owns will belong to his clan, as nearby guests quietly whisper amongst themselves. Wondering why Kaguya threw this sudden party, Anna remarks that something truly wonderful must have happened for him. Kaguya quickly spots Elino standing alone with a glass of wine in hand. He smoothly approaches and offers her a drink, but she instantly rejects young Master Kaguya without a second thought, though he keeps pressing. Lady Elino, please, but his pleading gets cut off abruptly by a chilling voice. And look who just showed up. Maybe I could share a drink with young Master Kaguya instead, instantly freezing Kaguya in place as he hears Dot. Kaguya tumbles to the ground screaming in horror, pointing a shaking finger at Dot and demanding whether he is a human or a ghost. Dot steps closer, calmly asking him what he thinks. In total disbelief, Kaguya stammers that Dot cannot be alive, asking where Sir Jenny went as Dot strokes his chin coldly. You mean the assassin who ambushed me on the road? Dot asks, before tossing a dagger straight in front of him. Kaguya recognizes it immediately as Jenny's weapon, realizing Jenny never came back, and widening his eyes in sheer horror. What on earth did you do? He gasps, staring at Dot like he is staring at an absolute monster. Elino knits her brows, noting that the notorious assassin known as the Savage Wolf shares that exact same name. Putting her hands on her hips, She demands to know his exact connection to this assassin named Jenny. In full panic, Kaguya stammers that this is all a misunderstanding, but Alino snaps back with pure disgust. "So you expect me to believe you did not hire him to kill Dot? I never imagined you could sink this low," leaving Kaguya desperately scrambling to explain. "No, Alino. I can explain everything," he begs, but she immediately cuts off his desperate excuse, saying enough. Alino crosses her arms coldly. Mocking him, she has zero interest in his pathetic excuses. "No wonder you suddenly threw this banquet. You thought Jenny succeeded, didn't you? You just wanted to celebrate Jude's death." Then she coldly declares that she already spoke with her grandfather, and effective immediately, the Abe family and the Saokiho family are completely cutting all ties, leaving Kaguya gritting his teeth in disbelief. Blaming Jude for ruining everything, Kaguya seethes while Alino turns to leave with Jude, leaving Anna standing there completely stunned. Alino belongs to the Abe family? She severed ties with Kaguya's clan just for Jude. Who even is this guy? Lai mutters thoughtfully, admitting he doesn't know either, because this guy is nothing like the Jude he once knew. Stepping briskly out of the manor, Alino vents her fury. Shameless fools, actually daring to send an assassin after them. These insects don't have a clue about his true overwhelming power. Master Jude calmly evaluates the situation, noting that assassin was formidable, definitely not someone Kaguya could order around alone. Alino immediately catches on, asking if his entire family is behind this, while Jude calmly explains he wasn't their only target. They were likely targeting her and the Abe family too, and his sudden appearance totally ruined their grand scheme. She scoffs with a cold, mocking laugh at their sheer stupidity. Did they genuinely think they could seize her family's assets just because her grandfather got severely injured? Alino bows with absolute loyalty, stating her grandfather fully recovered and grew stronger thanks to him, so they will obey his every command. Now watch his cold response. Jude calmly demands the complete wipeout of the entire Saokiho family. Over at the Saokiho mansion, Kaguya's face darkens as a voice from the communication stone asks what happened, and he bitterly admits Jenny failed. He hasn't heard a single word from the assassin since yesterday. Yet Jude showed up to the party completely unharmed. When he says Jude probably killed him, the voice echoes back in total shock. Impossible. His brother personally chose Jenny, confident that not even a high-tier archmage could survive an ambush from him. Grabbing his head in sheer panic, Kaguya yells that the Abe family broke all ties, furious that bastard Jude ruined everything. The voice across the stone pauses before deciding to return immediately, making Kaguya's eyes widen with sudden excitement. Clutching the stone, Kaguya laughs with fierce confidence. His brother returning means Jude is as good as dead. 2 days later, inside the academy laboratory, Jude stands with crossed arms, deep in thought. The Abe family should have moved by now, so why is Kaguya staying so quiet when he is not the type to swallow his rage? What is he waiting for? Suddenly, Professor Gu speaks up, telling both of them to get ready to head out. Mazi asks where they are going, and the professor gathers his things while explaining. Recent breakthroughs in his research ended up burning through nearly all his stored magical materials. He needs to restock at the magic market, catching Jude by surprise. Mazi smiles, explaining it is a specialized trading hub strictly dedicated to magical tools and rare materials. Without enough status or strength, you can't even get past the entrance, but as the professor's assistant, Jude gets free passage. He should treat this as a prime chance to broaden his horizons. Jude ponders in silence. He never heard of such a northern hub throughout his entire previous life. Soon, the three of them board a carriage and set off toward their destination. Before long, they arrive at Net City, the northern trade capital, where traveling merchants gather from every corner. Mazi cheerfully notes that money buys anything here, which is why mages flock in to hunt for ultra-rare items. Over the years, the bustling city naturally evolved into a massive magic marketplace. As they walk up to a grand tower, a man spots them right away. He rushes over with a warm welcome for Professor Gu, showing he is clearly a regular here. Jude wonders if he can find the exact ingredients needed to unleash the tear of death. The manager greets them politely, introducing himself as the overseer handling the market today. Professor Gu cuts the formalities, demanding entry since he has no interest in cheap trinkets outside. Forcing an awkward smile, the manager leads them inside and cordially invites them to look around. The professor waves his hand dismissively, frowning as he demands only the highest-tier items. He tells the manager to bring ingredients packed with massive life energy, along with materials tied to death and spirits, like dirt dug from an ancient tomb. The manager bows immediately, answering that it will be done. Rudger calmly inspects the box before him, noting a swamp crocodile armbone pretty rare, yet nothing truly special. He lets out a disappointed sigh, realizing this market is nowhere near as incredible as the rumors claimed. Nothing groundbreaking at all. Rudger thinks to himself that a genuine magic artifact must hold pure, raw power, capable of pulling off the impossible, a treasure so valuable that thousands would readily slaughter each other for it. Suddenly, a heated commotion makes him and Margaret snap their attention over. "Hey, old man, I clearly laid my eyes on this life crystal first, but you have not bought it yet, have you?" Rudger curiously asks as Bal bickers with Gustav, wondering who that man is, and Margaret quickly answers that it is Professor Bal. He teaches over at the Co-Magic Research Institute, and he happens to be the eternal lifelong rival of Professor Gustav. This is definitely not the first time both of them have fought tooth and nail over rare ingredients. He immediately locks onto the green stone sitting right there, a genuine life crystal, but then Rudger realizes it is nowhere near the real deal. Just crystallized wind ore that sneaky spirits deliberately passed off as genuine life crystals. Furious after getting cut in line, Gustav points straight at his lifelong rival, barking out whether he threw away every scrap of dignity instead of finding his own ingredients like an actual scholar. "You old vulture. Every single time something catches my eye, you just have to dive in and snatch it away, do you not?" Bal curls his lips into a wicked, mocking smirk, tossing out a spiteful jab that in this marketplace, it is always first come, first served. Besides, your flat wallet has not dropped a single coin, so what right do you have to screech that I am robbing you, you stingy geezer? Gustav turns completely red with absolute fury. His teeth grind together so hard he chokes on pure rage, struggling to find the right words to slap across the shameless, castle-wall-thick face of his hated rival. Rudger calmly steps up from behind with total composure, quietly leaning in to tell the old man, "Professor Gustav, there is no need to lose your temper over a worthless toy. That shiny piece of trash is not some noble life crystal in the slightest. It is just an ordinary chunk of wind ore, wrapped up in a cheap, deceptive disguise." Stunned by the blunt revelation, Gustav widens his eyes, urgently whispering whether the kid is 100% certain about what he just said. He asks if this stone is truly just wind ore scamming everyone, while Rudger maintains an entirely calm poker face, his lips curling with total confidence. He reassures him that his words are as solid as iron, never once proven wrong, standing completely by his claim. Hearing that, Gustav immediately starts running the numbers in his head. If it is a completely worthless dud, dropping 3,000 hard-earned gold coins would be pure stupidity, so he might as well let his hated rival swallow this massive scam and suffer a devastating loss. Turning sharply toward the shop manager, the old professor bellows out with heavy sarcasm, "Hey there, shop manager. May I ask who that self-proclaimed precious life crystal currently belongs to at this exact moment?" The manager scratches his head in awkward embarrassment, nervously stammering out his reply. He stutters that by the shop's long-standing policy, the item officially goes to whichever honored guest pays the money first. Bal gloats triumphantly, lifting the glowing green stone high into the air to show it off like a trophy, tilting his nose all the way up to the sky, loudly sneering, "Listen up, you blind fools. I just paid every single coin in full, so this priceless treasure officially belongs to me now." Hearing those proud words, Gustav suddenly bursts into a wide grin, his eyes squinting with sheer joy as he loudly declares, "Fantastic! In all my years, I have never heard news that brought such incredible, overwhelming joy to my old heart as right now." Both Bal and the shop manager stand there completely bewildered and confused, completely frozen in place, totally unable to understand why this old professor is celebrating after getting his item stolen. Bal knits his brows tightly, sensing that something is terribly fishy here, suspiciously snapping, "What on earth are you laughing at? And what is that supposed to mean? You just lost a treasure, and you act like you hit the jackpot? What kind of dirty scheme are you pulling? Gustav strokes his beard, firing back with a razor-sharp smirk. I am simply giving my sincere congratulations to my dear old friend. Congratulations on spending 3,000 gold coins just to haul home a piece of worthless wind ore not worth a single copper. Baal's eyes go wide in pure disbelief, letting out a choked gasp as his brain completely freezes up. Shaking it off after a second, he erupts into mocking laughter, snapping back, "You have truly gone senile in your old age. Or are you just so terribly bitter over losing that you are shamelessly spitting venom and inventing complete nonsense without any shame?" He points straight at the stone radiant glow, shouting at everyone to open their eyes and feel this surging wave of pure life energy. This is an ultimate mineral, not some mediocre scrap meant for weak bottom-tier mages. Breaking into a cold sweat, the store manager rushes over to intervene, begging Professor Gustav to withdraw the accusation. Our appraisers work strictly with zero chance of error, he pleads under the fierce crowd pressure. Gustav hesitates in silence, but Rhode calmly steps forward and reassures him with ease. Do not worry, Professor. He points directly at the stone, declaring firmly that what Professor Baal holds is nothing more than cheap wind ore. Both Baal and the manager scowl deeply, furious at the kid's brazen nerve. Glaring daggers at the young assistant, Baal roars in rage. Who do you think you are to stand here, making wild claims like that? The manager's face hardens too, warning the boy to watch his mouth, since accompanying Professor Gustav gives him no right to smear their shop reputation. Seeing his boy bullied, Gustav immediately steps up to shield him, declaring loudly that Rhode is his assistant with knowledge surpassing his own, so old Baal better shut his filthy mouth. Baal sneers mockingly, telling Gustav he is totally senile for appointing a greenhorn brat as his chief assistant. He raises the glowing stone in challenge. If you are so brilliant, explain where this towering green aura comes from, and prove your ridiculous claim. Now look at Rhode. He steps forward completely unbothered, ready to expose the whole trick. Rhode calmly explains that this stone only radiates life aura because of an elven masking illusion, and draining that energy will strip away the disguise instantly. Turning to the manager, he asks for soil from an ancient tomb, since a handful thick with death energy can swallow the illusion and break the spell. The manager stammers that they have some in stock, so Rhode waves his hand, ordering him to bring it over immediately, and a large metal basin filled with gloomy grave dirt lands on the counter. Rhode smirks, telling Baal to drop the stone in so the truth comes out within a minute, daring him to take the test. Infuriated, Baal accepts the challenge, warning that if this really is a true life crystal, then both old Gustav and his self-proclaimed genius assistant must apologize publicly to him before everyone. With that, he decisively drops the green stone straight into the gray grave soil. Instantly, thick green smoke billows from the basin, lighting up the entire room. Baal points smugly at the spectacle, laughing out loud that the life aura is still bursting with immense power. You better get ready to apologize, he gloats, while the older Professor Gustav starts sweating nervously as the light persists. Even Margaret, standing beside them, grows uneasy, letting out an anxious whisper. Seeing the test seemingly fail, Margaret leans into Rhode's ear and whispers, "Are you absolutely sure about this?" The professor values his dignity deeply, so forcing a public apology would be an unbearable humiliation. Rhode calmly tells her not to worry, because this will settle in 10 seconds, while Baal keeps mocking them, calling them fools, since not even elves could turn wind ore into a top-grade life crystal like this. And right on cue, the manager's face goes pale as he screams in panic, unable to comprehend the crazy scene unfolding before his eyes. As the green smoke clears, the stone loses its glow at alarming speed, leaving Margaret wide-eyed and shocked to see nothing but ordinary wind ore. While the surrounding crowd starts buzzing about which blind appraiser caused such an embarrassing blunder, other customers mock the idiot who just dropped 3,000 gold coins on worthless trash. Baal's face turns ghostly pale, his teeth grinding as he realizes he was utterly played and turned into a public laughingstock. Seeing red with pure fury, he roars straight into the manager's face, branding them scammers and demanding how they dared sell him such garbage. Gustav stands nearby, laughing his head off, thanking Rhode for saving him while gleefully enjoying the miserable look on Bal's face after taking such a massive loss. Consumed by blinding rage, the rival professor hurls the worthless stone onto the floor, shattering it into pieces. He turns around in a huff, dropping one bitter threat: "This is far from over. Just you wait." As his rival storms off, the manager bows repeatedly before Gustav and his group, apologizing over and over for the massive mess. Bloodshot eyes burning with pure malice, Bal swears to himself that he will make every single one of them pay dearly. Gustav celebrates with total delight, laughing that after years of trading insults, seeing his pompous rival get publicly humiliated like this is the sweetest victory ever. The old man turns to Rhode, generously asking what ingredients he wants to pick out. "Grab whatever you need, the lab covers it all from A to Z," Gustav adds, while warning that he expects zero fake goods from now on. The manager just laughs nervously, insisting this whole disaster was merely an unfortunate one-in-a-million accident. The old professor scoffs with clear suspicion before continuing his stroll through the market. The manager stands frozen in tense silence, racking his brain over how his staff could make such a foolish rookie mistake. More importantly, where on earth did this genius kid come from to possess an eye sharper than their own veteran appraisers? Just outside the room, a sinister figure in an iron helmet secretly watches the entire group from the shadows. He curses bitterly under his breath, realizing this kid just ruined his lucrative scam. Knowing the ore will now face heavy scrutiny, an urge to wipe the brat out instantly takes root. Then it clicks: that very same kid just enraged Professor Bal. A wicked plan quickly forms to use the furious professor as a weapon to eliminate the boy. Meanwhile, Bal trudges down the magic market steps under the glaring sun, still reeling from the shock. He grumbles in pure frustration over how his lifelong rival managed to land such an absurdly sharp and tricky assistant. The professor mourns his lost fortune alongside the public disgrace, terrified he is about to become the total laughingstock of the entire academy. An unfamiliar voice suddenly calls out from behind him, causing the old professor to whip around with a completely bewildered look on his face. The mysterious man from earlier strolls up toward Bal with an eerily calm demeanor. Bal snaps, demanding to know if he works for the market, insisting on seeing the head manager if this is about compensation. The stranger tells him to stay calm, explaining that market management is equally shocked and has already launched a serious investigation into the whole incident. With a sly grin, he drops a scandalous rumor, revealing the assigned appraiser had secretly met Gustav's new assistant multiple times before the incident. Hearing this shocking claim, Bal's eyes go wide in pure, unfiltered disbelief. Furious, the professor snaps back, asking if he means that entire scene was staged from the start, just to play him for a fool and make him look like a complete clown. Feigning total innocence, the stranger claims he avoids jumping to conclusions and only shares what he overheard in the hallways, smoothly planting poisonous seeds of doubt in the old man's mind. He points out how bizarre it is that some rookie student knew everything, while a distinguished, veteran professor like Bal got played so easily. Bal lowers his head, letting out a wicked, raspy chuckle as blind rage completely clouds his judgment. Bal nods along, convincing himself that every piece fits if that brat was the mastermind behind the entire setup. He mutters that he never imagined Gustav would stoop to such a filthy, underhanded scheme. Glaring straight at the suspicious man, Bal demands to know his true motive for coming all this way to spill the beans. The man smoothly replies that if rumors about the magic market dealing fake goods spread across town, their entire business reputation is completely ruined. Bal narrows his eyes with a sinister smirk, concluding that starting right now, both of them share the exact same target. The masked stranger curls his lips, readily confirming they are both fighting on the exact same side. Striding through the bustling heart of the city, Bal grits his teeth, swearing to himself that Gustav and his brat assistant will pay a devastating price. With eyes cold and vicious like a venomous snake, the rival professor vows that both of them will soon discover the brutal consequences of crossing him. The scene shifts over to a rustic, open-air quarter of Net City, where small vendors hustle and trade under the bright, warm sunlight. Lurking in the market shadows, a mysterious figure keeps watch over the lively crowd with an amused, intrigued smile. Meanwhile, Gustav, Rhode, and Marguerite keep casually browsing through the roadside stalls of this mystical open market. The elderly professor bends down over a humble blanket spread on the dirt, closely inspecting several odd curiosities and peculiar herbs. He picks up a volcanic core to inspect it, then grumbles in disappointment and tosses it aside after realizing it is completely drained and hollow. Next, he inspects a withered potted plant and tosses it away without hesitation, scoffing that it is just rotten nightmare ivy without a single penny of commercial value. Rhode stands by, scanning the mediocre junk all around, silently figuring they probably will not dig up anything worthwhile today. Just when he is ready to throw in the towel, Rhode stops dead in his tracks. A powerful, mysterious surge of life magic suddenly pulses from right beside him. In an instant, Rhode recognizes what that strange item really is: genuine bloodwood, an ultra-rare raw material formed only under the most punishing, extreme conditions imaginable. It looks completely petrified after countless years of decay, yet the life force sealed deep inside remains remarkably vibrant, making it absolutely perfect to serve as a soul stabilizer during crucial life magic experiments. And that is not even all. Glancing right beside it, the boy spots something even more shocking that makes him gasp under his breath. Sitting on the stall rests a bizarre decorative skull, embedded right in its forehead with a deeply mysterious purple gemstone. Rhode sees right through the disguise a rare fragment of nether ore hidden inside the bone, the ultimate catalyst to push his necromantic power to new heights. Keeping a deadpan poker face, Rhode points at the trinkets and casually asks the merchant for a price, making up an excuse that he just needs a few sturdy rocks to prop up a wobbly lab table. The merchant laughs it off, explaining that these northern gravestones are nothing special at all, just rugged chunks that professional appraisers scoffed at. He offers them for only 5 silver coins each, telling his customer to pick whatever catches his eye. Smirking on the inside, the boy makes an offer to sweep the entire pile of ancient stones and bones for 50 silver coins flat. Thinking he struck gold by dumping off total garbage, the vendor eagerly agrees on the spot. Our main character pulls out his pouch, pays the agreed silver, and seals the deal in seconds. On their way back, Marguerite lets out a disappointed sigh, complaining that this whole shopping trip yielded barely any good finds or thrilling discoveries. Rhode hands the petrified wood straight to Gustav, explaining that this is top-grade bloodwood packed with rich vitality, perfect for the old man's research. The old man inspects the blackened chunk with sheer skepticism, telling the boy he knows what bloodwood looks like, and this is just common gravel. Staying completely calm, the young assistant stands firm that this item is the genuine article, merely encased in a petrified crust from centuries of weathering. Intrigued by his confidence, Gustav channels a trickle of mana inside for a closer look. Right away, the professor's eyes bug out in utter shock when the stone suddenly erupts with a dazzling, radiant crimson blaze. Marguerite's jaw drops straight to the floor at the sight. She gasps in awe, feeling an overwhelming surge of dense life energy pouring out from the wood. The old scholar can barely believe his own eyes right now. Overcome with emotion at the unbelievable discovery, Gustav confirms that this is pure, authentic bloodwood. Meanwhile, Rhode looks down at the compact nether ore in his palm, already planning his next power move. He smirks to himself, knowing full well this tiny shard will be the golden ticket to skyrocketing his combat prowess. Night falls over the lavish estate, wrapping the young mage's private study in total, absolute silence. Rhode prepares to use the ore to break through to apprentice mage, while using the Tear of Death to evolve Durin straight into senior mage rank. The massive bone knight Durin materializes before his master, kneeling on one knee in absolute loyalty. Rhode tosses the glowing crystal toward his summoned beast, ordering him to use the relic to reclaim his former prime strength. Obeying the command, Durin crushes the crystal in his palm, greedily absorbing every drop of the massive dark energy unleashed. Blue flames erupt alongside waves of pure soul power, completely engulfing the skeletal frame of this dark warrior. Our guy watches the dramatic evolution closely, as his loyal servant gets sealed inside a brilliant blue energy cocoon. Soon enough, glowing cracks begin fracturing across the cocoon alongside thunderous roars. Just watch this. The shell shatters in a spectacular blast, sending a magical shockwave tearing through the room as his reconstructed form emerges far more formidable than before. Clad in dark armor with blazing eyes, the knight bows once more. Completely thrilled, Rhode praises his minion's badass new appearance, silently celebrating the fact that his guardian has officially stepped into senior mage rank. With his summons evolution wrapped up, the young man grabs the nether ore shard to kick off his own breakthrough. He crushes the purple gem, unleashing a thick magical mist that swirls violently around his body. Without warning, a colossal pillar of lightning and intense soul energy completely envelops the young mage, lifting him levitating in midair right at the room's center. Guiding the surging mana flow, the young man realizes that Durin's evolution paired with the gem creates an unimaginable resonance effect. Powered by this tremendous surge, he easily shatters his bottleneck and pulls off a spectacular breakthrough to apprentice mage rank. Our main character tells himself that with his new breakthrough and a high-tier guardian backing him up, his safety is completely locked down. A confident smirk crosses his face, knowing he can finally unleash forbidden arts and combat skills that used to be totally out of reach. The very next day, a grand carriage belonging to the elite Shadowbone clan rolls straight up to the gates of their massive estate. Heavy combat boots hit the pavement as a man steps out, while rows of stationed guards bow down in deep respect. Lord Brooke of House Shadowbone strides inside with a stone-cold glare, dressed in premium high-grade battle uniform. Ka rushes over in a total panic to greet his older brother, exhaling in relief. Relieved his brother finally returned, Ka speaks up, but Brooke cuts him off with a chilling glare, demanding answers for the recent mess. He snarls, asking why Ka let himself get disgraced so badly that the Blade clan severed all business ties with them. Ka scrambles to defend himself, insisting their opponent was absurdly overpowered. Their assassin Lenny has vanished without a trace, while the Blade clan keeps pulling out of every single lucrative deal. Brooke pauses with a hint of curiosity, wondering when a powerhouse of that caliber even managed to appear in the Northern Territory. Clenching his black leather glove, Brooke coldly declares who the brat is does not matter, bloodlust flashing in his eyes. He makes it clear that anyone standing in their way will be erased, because this entire northern region belongs to their clan. Calling out into the dark, Brooke summons his subordinate Lex, who instantly emerges and bows before his master. As the top assassin in the entire clan, Lex steps into the light with a calm, commanding presence. Brooke explains that Lex is easily his sharpest and most lethal weapon. A peak expert mage blessed with blue mana who trained alongside Lenny and even brought down a massive frost giant all on his own. In a deep, raspy voice, Lex greets Ka with the trademark cold detachment of a seasoned hitman. Ka trembles beneath the suffocating aura rolling off this killer. Seeing that Lex is leagues above someone like Lenny after claiming countless lives, the assassin checks his concealed blades and demands the target file. He firmly states that no matter how useless Lenny was, he will avenge his fallen comrade. Grinning eagerly, Ka reassures the assassin that everything is covered since he already put together a complete profile on the kid. With a heavy thud, a detailed folder packed with every piece of intel on the target drops onto the table. Skimming through the pages, Brooke scoffs mockingly, questioning if the enemy's secret weapon is seriously just some scrawny assistant to Professor Gustav. The assassin warns that since the renowned professor holds immense sway and the target stays alert, ambushing him inside the academy or out in public is impossible. Taking that warning to heart, the clan lord figures their only real move is luring the punk straight into their own territory. Ka instantly pitches a scheme, suggesting they send an official invite to both the target and the Blade clan together. Setting up an apology banquet under the guise of peace, they plan to exploit the rival patriarch frail old age to spring an ambush and wipe them all out. Ka adds that this will cleanly handle everything in one night. After turning the idea over in his mind, Brooke nods in full agreement with the plan, firmly stating that when they strike, execution must be surgical, without leaving a single loose thread behind. Their goal is wiping out every rival in one crushing blow, officially locking down total dominion over the entire North. Meanwhile, the scene shifts over to the luxurious Blade clan mansion, glowing brightly under the gentle morning sun. Spotting her grandfather glued to an official document, Alino curiously walks over to ask what he is reading. Igna explains that Ka just sent over an apology letter, even generously offering to hand over 20% of his clan assets as compensation for the trouble. Alino folds her arms, pointing out that the odds of a hypocrite like him truly wanting peace are zero, making this an obvious setup. Resting his hand on the desk, the old master nods along with his granddaughter's sharp insight. He agrees the proposal is just cheap bait, telling her to go consult Grandmaster Rhode right away to see how he wants to handle it. Alino takes the command and dashes off immediately to deliver the report to their young leader. Standing before Rhode, she breaks down the suspicious banquet invitation alongside the shady 20% asset offer. You have got to love his reaction. Our boy finds the whole ploy hilarious, amused by how clumsy they are to set such an obvious trap. But he does not care at all, noting that this trap is actually fantastic news, a perfect excuse to erase the Shadowbone clan from the northern map forever. The very next morning, an elegant carriage arrives to pick up the guests, heading straight toward the banquet grounds. Leon the guard waves with a broad grin, welcoming the great grandmaster. He says his lord personally sent him to escort them, while Rhode calmly adjusts his formal suit and nods that it is time to head out. Along the way, old Igna admits he feels far more confident and secure, with Rhode walking right beside him. The patriarch explains that their enemies have zero clue his illness is completely cured, which will make the bastards deeply regret ever setting up this deadly trap against them. The entourage finally pulls up before the gloomy, massive mansion of the Shadowbone clan, an ominous estate heavily guarded by endless lines of masked sentries. Brooks welcomes them with a series of fake, exaggerated bows. He acts as if he had previously lost his temper, framing this banquet as a humble apology to make amends. As he bows low, Brooks harbors purely sinister thoughts, believing whoever laughs last laughs best. Once they step inside the anti-magic barrier alongside Lex delivering a lethal strike, not a single soul will make it out in one piece. His plan is to crush the Ashenblade family, force Alino into slavery, and tear Rhode to shreds for wild dogs. Rhode sees right through his wicked ambition and finds it hilarious, wondering why this guy is in such a rush to expose his killing intent. Everyone is led inside a massive, lavishly decorated banquet hall, where they are formally invited to take their seats. Brooks opens with an official apology for the foolish stunts his younger brother Ka pulled, urging everyone to leave the past behind. Putting on an extremely polite show, the host gestures with a smile for his guests to settle into their seats. Rhode immediately sweeps the area with his senses, spotting 7 hidden array nodes forming an anti-magic boundary so incredibly seamless that even old Igna does not notice a single thing. Sensing his subordinate trembling with nerves, the young man whispers softly for her to just relax, because everything is fine. Placing absolute trust in her supreme leader, the girl takes a deep breath and nods in agreement. The leaders of both major clans raise their red wine glasses to toast a brand new beginning toward peace. Strictly honoring proper business etiquette, Igna uses the moment to bring up transferring 20% of the family estate as promised. Brooks lets out a chuckle, exclaiming he almost forgot the most critical term of their deal. Yet hiding behind that friendly mask, the cold glint in his eyes and wicked grin signal the purge has officially begun. He claps his hands twice with a loud crack through the hall, triggering the prearranged signal for the ambush. A butler carrying a silver tray approaches with the property transfer contract, claiming all it takes is one single signature to finalize everything. Suspecting nothing behind this sudden rush, the old patriarch reaches out to take the official document and seal the transaction. But the exact second his fingertips brush against the parchment, a brutal, bloodthirsty magical trap instantly triggers across the entire hall. The butler exposes himself as an assassin in disguise, lunging savagely at the patriarch with razor-sharp claws, screaming that this is no contract at all, but rather the old man's death warrant. Staring down a lethal surprise ambush, old Igna remains utterly unfazed, not even bothering to set his glass of red wine back down on the table. A thunderous explosion rocks the room with terrifying force, sending tables, chairs, and shattered dishes flying all over the place. The disguised assassin stumbles backward in a state of absolute disbelief, completely unable to comprehend how his deadly sneak attack was deflected with such effortless ease. Igna calmly rises to his feet, bathed in an overwhelming radiant golden mana erupting from a physical body that has been completely and fully restored. Witnessing that radiant aura, Brooks panics upon realizing the old man has hit the peak of the expert mage tier, frantically asking how in the world that incurable illness got cured. Igna bursts into mocking laughter, declaring a great grandmaster healed him and made him several times stronger than ever. "Did you finally show your true colors, you miserable bastard?" Brooks declares there is no turning back, immediately ordering Lex to join forces with him for an all-out assault to wipe out these intruders. Intense combat erupts as the fighters dart at wind-slicing speed, trading lightning-fast strikes back and forth across the Grand Hall. Even though he is heavily outnumbered, the seasoned patriarch flashes a confident grin before unleashing his own signature technique. He dares them to bring everything they have, promising to teach these arrogant brats a painful lesson they will never forget. Out of nowhere, the massive anti-magic circle hidden in the ceiling activates, radiating an eerie, blinding flash of purple light. Feeling the magical energy inside his body abruptly locked down tight, the elder's eyes widen in horror as he realizes he walked into an anti-magic barrier. He tries desperately to channel his power, only to discover he cannot muster a single drop of mana. Brooks mocks him, gloating that he spent a small fortune on this barrier, telling the old man to accept his doom because the Ashen Blade clan belongs to him from now on. Seeing her grandfather hanging by a thread, Elino panics and screams across the Grand Hall for him to watch out. Even stripped of magic, the old family head cleanly dodges every physical strike, driving his enemies crazy with that unreal agility. Sensing pure danger all around, Igna yells out for Elino to retreat immediately alongside Grandmaster Rhode. Tears welling in her eyes, hands gripping her sword hilt tight, Elino refuses to abandon her grandfather right now. She turns and begs Rhode to run and save himself, swearing she will stay behind to fight and gladly die beside her grandfather if she has to. Rhode calmly steps forward, brushes right past the girl, and authoritatively commands her to step back and stay out of this fight. In full panic, she desperately warns him that under this suppression field, not even he can cast any magic. Once again, she pleads for him to run. Ignoring every single warning, our main guy keeps his icy blue eyes completely cold, tracking the elite assassin Lex as he charges straight ahead at terrifying speed. Ready to unleash a lethal finisher, he wonders if this kid is truly the one who sent Lenny straight to the grave. Flashing a savage grin, the assassin roars that he will avenge his fallen comrade by slicing this little brat clean in half. A deafening clang rings through the Grand Hall as Lex's deadly strike gets halted mid-air by an unseen force. Lex completely freaks out, unable to fathom how an apprentice-tier kid could stop his full-powered attack dead in its tracks. Looking closer, he watches in horror as our main character stands tall right beside his summoned spirit. Durant immediately declares with absolute authority that anyone daring to draw a weapon against his master deserves to die. Right then, Durant launches a vicious counterattack, and Lex realizes he has zero chance of dodging it. Even as an elite assassin, it makes no difference. In the blink of an eye, he is completely overwhelmed. The impact is so brutal that the summoned spirit basically hits a grand slam, sending this side character flying backward. Rhode is honestly surprised to see the guy still breathing after taking such a devastating blow head-on. Lex lies flat on the ground, realizing he was forced to burn his final trump card in the very first clash. He exhales in pure relief, knowing he barely survived thanks to his blue blessing bailout, while Brooke witnesses the entire scene in utter disbelief, screaming out that this makes no sense at all. He hysterically demands to know how Rhode can still summon creatures under the effect of an anti-magic barrier. Rhode shoots him a look of pure contempt, stating that he would never stoop to using such low-tier garbage magic. He casually adds that the anti-magic circle they are so proud of does not have even the slightest effect on him. Suddenly, check this out. Countless mysterious chains of purple energy begin hovering all around Rhode. He calmly reveals that the art he is wielding is a forbidden technique not from this world. As Rhode and his subordinates stand with overwhelming presence, The enemies stare in pure terror while cold sweat drips down their faces. Completely clueless about what a forbidden art even is, they tremble and ask if that monster was actually summoned by Rhode. Lex rips his shirt off in blinding fury, screaming that Rhode must die at all costs, even if the kid bypassed the barrier. As Brooke charges at max speed, yelling at Lex to team up and finish this right now. Funneling all his energy into his fist, he triggers a destructive skill to crush his target into dust. Brooke's eyes glow blood-red with murder, ready to send our main guy straight to his grave. But his destructive punch gets effortlessly parried by the blade of the King of Bones, so completely useless that it fails to leave behind even a single scratch. Brooke's eyes widen in absolute horror, seeing his full power strike brushed aside like nothing, while Lex pops his shadow stealth and lunges straight for Rhode. Meanwhile, Eleno stands frozen on the spot, admitting that Rhode's terrifying aura keeps her from moving so much as a single finger, while Lex shrieks in pure rage about avenging Lenny, though Rhode never shows even a trace of fear. He simply reaches out his hand and locks it tight around the assassin's throat. Our guy's presence is just on another level, and Lex feels every bit of it, choking violently as a massive shadowy figure looms behind the boy. Rhode coldly explains that heroic spirits are nothing more than wandering souls refusing to move on. Tightening his grip on the assassin's neck, he promises to show him what a true end really looks like. Dark energy gets forcefully drained right out of the opponent's body, causing his power to plummet as Lex sinks into utter despair. He begs not to have his blessing stripped away, knowing for certain he cannot survive without it. Screaming in agonizing pain and sheer terror, he begs Rhode to spare his life, yet still desperately tries to threaten him, warning that his master will come seeking revenge if he gets killed. In his final moments, he shrieks in agony, cursing Rhode as a disgusting monster. Ka stands frozen in sheer horror, unable to believe that Lex has truly been erased. The elite assassin lies flattened across the cold floor, completely drained of life with not a single pulse left. A cold tear rolls down Igna's face in absolute shock, watching the young lord dismantle an expert mage without breaking a sweat. Ka scrambles across the floor toward his older brother, pathetically begging Brooks to save him from this nightmare. He clutches his brother's leg in tears, desperately pleading with him to wipe out their enemy. Disgusted by such cowardice, Brooks kicks his younger brother away and tells him to get lost, calling him useless trash. Rhode and his subordinates just watch the two brothers tear each other apart without blinking. Meanwhile, Brooks desperately tries to wrap his head around how his top killer went down so easily against a mere kid. He finally realizes the hunter and the prey flipped from the very start, and now he is just scrambling to save his neck. Desperate, he asks if I hand over all our family fortune, will you spare our lives and let us leave? Rhode listens to the offer with a completely unreadable, stone-cold face. He coldly replies that every single coin belongs to him anyway the second he puts Brooks into the ground. Ka drops to his knees pleading for mercy, shifting all the blame onto his brother for the hit on Rhode. The coward then turns toward Eleno, begging if she can find it in her heart to forgive him for the past. She stares down at Ka with absolute disgust, letting him know her family now answers directly and exclusively to Rhode. Ka freezes in horror, knowing there is nowhere left to run. In a flash, Brooks drives sharp claws straight through Ka's chest. Blood spills from Ka's lips as he stares at his own brother in sheer disbelief, utterly broken by the sudden betrayal. Brooks coldly yanks his hand back, leaving his brother to bleed out on the hall floor. The young Ka collapses lifeless, right in front of Rhode and Eleno. Brooks wipes the blood off his arm with a chillingly calm expression, muttering that his little brother was nothing more than a pathetic joke. Knowing full well Rhode will never let him walk out alive, Brooks tightly grips the dark talisman resting on his chest. The crimson jade pendant suddenly begins drinking up every drop of blood from the floor, flaring violently with pitch-black energy. A massive magic circle erupts across the ground with a thunderous roar as Brooks swears to drag every single one of them down to hell with him, eyes bloodshot and burning with pure hatred. He screams that he is offering his own blood to summon their ancient ancestor. A terrifying blast of crimson shockwaves rips across the room, tearing apart everything in its path. Rhode, Eleno, and Igna do everything they can to shield themselves against that devastating wave of raw, destructive force. Brooks collapses to the ground, coughing up mouthfuls of blood as the glowing red circle hovers directly above him. Watching through his monocle, family head Igna is struck with absolute horror at what unfolds before his eyes. Right in the center of the grand hall, the body of Brooks undergoes a grotesque and terrifying mutation. A massive pillar of destructive crimson light blasts straight from the circle into the ceiling, setting off an earth-shattering explosion. A monstrous creature steps out from the smoke, flashing a sinister grin and remarking that this fresh new vessel is not half bad. Elino and Igna realize in dread that an ancient ancestral spirit just completely hijacked Brooks's body. The ancient entity lets out a wicked laugh echoing across the ruined hall. He celebrates loudly, gloating that after 300 years, a descendant finally offered enough blood to call back his soul. The beast slams his weapon into the earth, unleashing a terrifying shockwave of sheer hostile mana. Elino trembles as she grips her sword, gasping that this evil aura is so overwhelming she can barely stand. Recognizing this dark sorcery, Igna furiously declares this is no longer Brooks, but an abominable freak that should have stayed buried 6 feet under. Rhode pinches his nose with a look of pure disdain, noting the stench of the dead makes him sick and telling the freak to go rest in peace. The ancient ancestor glares back with a wicked smirk, promising to use Rhode's fresh blood as an offering for his bloodline. He starts gathering a massive sphere of boiling blood magic right in his palm. The monster decides to seal off Rhode's minion first to make the fight easier. In an instant, a pool of cursed red blood surges up, locking the mighty skeleton king in place. With the summon pinned down, the monster charges like a streak of lightning straight at Rhode. He launches a lethal strike at our main character, screaming, "Outdie, you little brat." Rhode stays completely unbothered, casually noting that this ancient ancestor clearly did not inherit all the memories of his foolish descendant Brooks. The creature pauses for a split second, having no clue what this kid is getting at. Rhode adds that if he actually knew how his top assassin got vaporized, he would never have had the guts to challenge him. Radiating the supreme authority of a true sovereign, Rhode gives one simple command: kneel. Right at that very second, a crushing gravitational force slams down on the beast, smashing him flat against the tiles. The ancestor hits the floor hard, coughing up fresh blood from the sheer weight of spiritual pressure. He realizes in pure panic that his body cannot move a single inch. It wonders why on earth it feels this terrified of a gray-haired kid. Trembling in sheer terror, the beast looks up, wondering what kind of horrifying monster this kid actually is. Rhode tells him he will find out soon enough, instantly activating a necromancy spell called Soul Fire. Rhode lightly presses his fingertip, burning with blazing blue energy, against his enemy forehead. The blue flames begin incinerating the ancestor, making him scream in absolute agony. He cannot fathom how this fire can consume both his soul and his entire mind. He writhes across the ground, shrieking in agony as he feels his fresh vessel burning away completely. His dying soul desperately begs to know who this terrifying kid really is. Rhode calmly states that before him, every departed soul is nothing more than an obedient lamb led straight to the slaughterhouse. The monster clutches its head in pure despair as all control completely slips through its grasp. He lets out a piercing shriek of pure pain as the very fabric of his soul gets ripped to shreds. Panic hits the ancestor as he realizes his soul and his entire existence are being erased forever. He weeps in desperation after having just returned to this world, crying out that he does not want to disappear. With a faint magical pop, the ancestor dark soul shatters and completely vanishes into nothingness. A massive wave of brilliant blue soul energy gently washes across the air. Rhode absorbs every drop of that raw energy, noting with deep satisfaction that this ancient soul made him significantly stronger. Silence finally settles back over the devastated grand hall. Everyone left behind stands stunned, wondering if this nightmare is genuinely over. Patriarch Igna gasps in pure disbelief, remarking that he has witnessed powerful figures before, but never anyone who could erase a high-tier mage soul this effortlessly. Elino looks at Rhode with absolute awe, realizing that while she was ready to risk her life to protect him, he wiped the enemy out with a mere flick of his finger. Rhode turns back and calmly tells the Lord that the Shadowbone clan is no more, leaving the cleanup to him. Igna bows with deep reverence, swearing to hand over all enemy assets to Rhode while pledging his entire clan into his service. The elder offers his deepest gratitude, admitting that without this young master, his entire family would have been wiped out today. Elino places a hand on her chest, solemnly swearing to follow Rhode anywhere from this moment on. Rhode looks at them calmly, telling them to rise and saying those words of loyalty are more than enough. He then steps forward, picking up a metal crest resting among the bloodstains on the floor. Touching the artifact, Rhode senses remnants of that ancestor's soul along with hundreds of trapped shadow-bone spirits sealed inside. Disgust washes over him as he calls using their own bloodline as ritual sacrifices completely vile and twisted. Rhode hands the relic to Igna, asking him to handle the cleanup while mentioning he feels pretty exhausted. The patriarch gladly accepts on the spot, promising to carry out the order with the utmost honor. Rhode walks out of the hall with his head held high, strolling toward the exit under the glowing sunset. Igna watches the young man back, telling Elino that the entire north is about to change, and they will follow him no matter what storms lie ahead. Night quickly falls over the quiet, upscale manor where Rhode is resting up. Focusing inside his private room, Rhode notices his power has clearly jumped. After fully absorbing that ancient soul, he officially breaks through into the apprentice mage realm, and he thinks with satisfaction that the next tier of magical power is not far away at all. Their crude way of extending life seems ridiculous to him, yet he wonders if this connects to the headless horseman in the forest. Thinking it through, Rhode decides to dispatch the Blood Mercenary Corps to investigate these mysteries now that the Shadowbone clan is swept off the board. The young man figures all he can do now is wait patiently for news as 3 days quickly pass by. 3 days later, Elino visits Rhode to let him know her grandfather organized an auction to liquidate everything seized from the Shadowbone clan, inviting him along. Rhode turns it down flat, saying he wants them to handle the whole event themselves. Shortly after, the young man heads over to the Academy Research Lab, finding someone else hard at work. The eccentric Professor Gustav is thrilled to see Rhode arrive, telling him he has to come along since Marguerite is out today. When Rhode asks where they are going, the professor excitedly answers that they are heading to an auction. Gustav whispers in excitement that he has no clue who the Shadowbone clan angered to get wiped out like that. Still, all their treasures are up for auction, and you can see Rhode's expression completely speechless and unimpressed, since the guy actually responsible for their entire downfall is standing right in front of the professor. Gustav impatiently drags the kid along, telling him to stop dragging his feet and reminding him their rivals had already hoarded a fortune in rare materials across the north. The scholar beams warmly, saying he is counting on his favorite assistant to help pick out top-tier magic artifacts. The two soon arrive at the grand venue where the prestigious Blade clan is hosting their lavish auction. Approaching the entrance, Rhode spots a very familiar figure stepping down from a carriage. Professor Ball shows up looking thoroughly irritated, determined to reclaim his honor at all costs before Gustav and that brat. Rhode is surprised to see even Bal manage to score an invitation, figuring this auction might deliver way more drama than expected. Suddenly, Anna and Claire appear in the crowd, the blonde girl asking arrogantly, "What on earth a useless nobody like Rhode is doing here?" Anna glares at him with pure disdain, declaring, "This event is strictly reserved for high society, so he really should not act like he belongs." Claire immediately brushes her friend off, looking at Rhode with warm, caring eyes as she asks, "Rhode, would you like to come inside and watch the auction with us?" She even offers to buy him anything he likes, but our boy politely declines with a grateful nod. Visibly annoyed, Anna grabs her friend's hand, telling her to forget that nobody, because the event is starting and they need to head inside right now. Rhode just sweats bullets, watching the two professors kick off a fiery war of words the second they lock eyes. Bal points an arrogant finger, warning them he brought a whole mountain of gold coins today to make sure they leave empty-handed. The bald old man brags that, since this is an official Blade family event, nobody will be able to swindle him like at the magic market. Gustav just scoffs, reminding him he literally bought a piece of trash stone last time. But Rhode calms him down, noting the bald guy's plan is bound to crash and burn soon anyway. Turning his back on his rival, the old man tells him to mind his own business and urges Rhode to hurry inside the hall. Inside the luxurious theater, Eleno appears stunning in a pure white dress, immediately spotting Rhode in the audience. She flashes a bright smile and rushes over to him, saying she honestly thought he would not make it. She has already prepared a special front-row VIP seat just for him, but Rhode gestures for her to keep things low-key. For today, he is simply playing the role of Professor Gustav's assistant. The view sweeps across piles of rare treasures, glowing gemstones, and magical weapons displayed with great honor in glass cases before the guests. Gustav examines the relics in sheer awe, whispering under his breath. Those recently wiped-out rivals had actually stashed away quite an impressive fortune. The host steps onto the main stage, welcoming the distinguished guests and officially kicking off the high-stakes treasure auction. The auctioneer introduces the opening item as a flawless ocean crystal, perfectly suited for setting up water-type magic circles. Starting at 500 gold coins, the bidding swiftly climbs to 600 as Ball flashes a sinister smirk, waiting to see when Gustav makes a move. The next item up for grabs is a shadow cloak seized from the Shadowbone house, capable of completely concealing the wearer's presence and preventing detection. Starting at 800 gold coins, Gustav immediately raises his paddle, thinking this shadow cloak would come in pretty handy on his field expeditions. Bal shoots his paddle up right after, outbidding him at 900 gold coins, but Professor Gustav pushes it to 950. Determined to ruin his rival's plans, Bal raises again, pushing the bid to 1,000 gold coins. A fierce bidding war erupts across the room, numbers climbing non-stop until the price hits 1,300 gold coins. Bal proudly hoists his paddle high, generously dropping a massive 1,500 gold coins. Gustav backs down, grumbling bitterly that the price went way past the cloak's actual worth, complaining that Vulture Bal is just acting out of sheer spite. Rhode calmly reassures the professor that it is totally fine to let the bald old man take the hit on this one. The auctioneer's gavel slams down, locking in the win for Bal at 1,500 gold coins and leaving the buyer with an intensely smug grin. The next item announced is a mysterious ancient bone fragment carved with unknown runes, opening at 500 gold coins. To everyone's absolute shock, Rhode casually raises his paddle, jumping straight into the race at 1,000 gold coins. The auctioneer recognizes the young kid instantly and freezes on the spot, thoroughly confused about what he is doing here and why he is bidding. The staff member discreetly signals that he could just hand the bone over to Rhode for free, but the boy declines, saying he is just a regular guest and asking him to strictly follow the rules. Anna screams in pure frustration, unable to believe her ears, asking if that kid Rhode has completely lost his mind. Why would the powerful Ashblade clan just hand over an item to him for free? Claire and the other guests are completely baffled, wondering why anyone would throw so much cash at an unidentified bone that nobody even knows how to use. Bal flashes a wicked grin the second he spots the kid showing interest, figuring they will not be touching a single thing today. The bald old guy raises his paddle, taking the lead with 1,200 gold coins. Rhode does not even flinch, jacking the bid straight to 2,000 gold coins and sending Professor Gustav sitting beside him into total panic. Gustav stares at his assistant in sheer disbelief, asking how he could possibly blow 2,000 gold on some mystery bone. The scholar excitedly guesses that this has to be some super rare material even he has not managed to analyze yet. But Rhode calmly corrects him it really is just an ordinary bone. With a sly grin, the professor explains that does not mean it is useless, hinting they can bait old Bal into blowing his fortune on pure junk. And right on cue, Bal walks straight into the trap, bidding 3,000 gold coins. He is convinced that if a punk kid spends that much, the bone must hide some world-shattering secret. Guests start buzzing with whispers, wondering if these two lost their minds by driving a mystery item's price up sixfold. Rhode lowers his paddle with a smug grin, mocking Bal for having way too much cash to waste 3,000 gold on an ordinary bone. Bal's face drains of color, frozen in pure shock. Realizing he got played by the kid, the auction gavel comes slamming down with a loud crack, officially congratulating Professor Bal for securing the prized bone at a steep 3,000 gold coins. Gustav roars with laughter, mocking his rival for learning nothing after burning another 3,000 gold on absolute garbage. Fuming with rage, Bal clenches his fists until his knuckles pop, bitterly cursing the kid for playing him like a fool once again. While Anna pouts over the boy constantly driving the bids up, Claire thoughtfully notes Professor Bal is a respected scholar, and Rhode seems to make enemies everywhere he goes. Gustav heaps praise on Rhode's cleverness, while the young man calmly states their rival will not be bothering them anymore, explaining that his good relationship with Alino made everything much smoother. The auctioneer reels everyone's focus back in, excitedly presenting the next batch of treasures. With Bal knocked out of the running, Gustav easily snags his desired item at the opening bid of just 500 gold coins. Bal's assistant panics, warning that they cannot spend another coin or the academy will hit them with heavy penalties. The professor snaps back furiously, telling him he already knows that, and to shut his mouth. Lost in thought, the bald elder realizes he must seriously consider that secret partnership offer he got not long ago. Lurking in the shadows of the grand hall, a figure wearing a top hat watches every move in the auction. Top Hat views Bal as an idiot, but plans on using the bald guy's rage against Rhode to handle the kid for him. He reveals in his thoughts that smuggling fakes through the local black market is a massive cash cow for the Gobi family. Terrified of facing brutal punishment and exile if the operation crumbles under his watch, he is dead set on eliminating the sharp-eyed brat who keeps exposing the counterfeits. He breathes a sigh of relief seeing the Ashblade house knows nothing about his illicit deals with the Shadowbone clan. He decides to stay calm and finish his mission right after taking care of Rhode. Before long, the auction wraps up and guests begin trickling out. Everyone chats about the day's hauls, while Alino meets Rhode in the main lobby as Professor Gustav watches with a warm smile. She explains that the auction brought in roughly 100,000 gold coins. She offers to send all the funds directly to his estate, knowing he urgently needs the budget. Rhode calmly agrees with her plan and tells her to go ahead, bringing a bright, radiant smile to Alino's face. Down the hallway, Bal's assistant asks timidly, asking if he wants to double-check the bone just in case. But the professor furiously barks at him to shut up. The man in the top hat watches Rhode and Alino stroll through the auction halls, his eyes glowing with an evil purple light as he mutters that the kid brought this doom upon himself. The mysterious man grips a strange purple talisman marked with a golden cross in his gloved hands. Blending into the departing crowd, the top hat man approaches an ally, introducing himself under a mysterious disguise. He reports that the target is locked in, ordering them to push Bal into making a move quickly, while the professor stays busy yelling at his assistant to shut up. The sharp ring of a drawn blade suddenly slices through the air, echoing across the dark hallway. A dark figure appears in an instant, pressing a razor-sharp blade right against Bal's throat. The intruder introduces himself as Shadow Snake, northern manager of the Dark Knight Syndicate, saying he has a few words to share with him, specifically with Professor Bal. Bal freezes in pure terror after instantly recognizing the North's most infamous assassin syndicate, wondering in sheer disbelief how he completely failed to sense the presence of such a terrifying monster. Shadow Snake tells the old man to stay calm, sheathing his sword while reassuring him that he is not here to kill him, but to offer a win-win partnership instead. The scholar grows deeply suspicious, asking what possible benefit a hired killer could ever offer someone like him. But the man tells him to stay patient and hear out the full plan before jumping to any final conclusions. The carriage rolls onward in total silence, beneath the bright full moon shining across the clear night sky. Meanwhile, the quiet calm of the night blankets the luxurious mansion where Rhode is currently staying. Inside his private room, Rhode reaches out through a magic communication artifact, asking Kai how the ongoing investigation is currently progressing. His subordinate reports that he arrived at the designated spot, but apologizes because he has not uncovered any truly valuable leads yet. Now check this out, he reveals that he managed to uncover some exceptionally pure magic crystals. He notes that refining such an elite high-grade mineral is practically impossible in this barren northern territory with barely any raw resources. Kai emphasizes that gems refined to this exceptional tier can typically only be discovered within the royal capital itself. Rhode sinks deep into thought, wondering whether the notorious Gobi family, the very killers who brutally took his older sister's life in his previous life, are masterminding this entire plot and stretching their influence all the way out here. If you want to see what happens next, Make sure to leave a like and drop a comment down below.